Jeff,
Yeah.
Brian,
Here.
Kathy here, and is here, and
John is here.
okay, first item. First, I should say that this meeting is being recorded. The next item is public comments on non-agenda items. Mr. Starkey. This is the period for public comment on non-agenda items. Yes, Mr. Starkey.
Okay, my name is Jim Starkey, 13 Tux Point Road. Last October of last year, I stood in front of the select board and dared to criticize the harbor department. This April, the harbor master revoked the permit I had for a mooring for the last 45 years. The reason for the revocation was deliberately ludicrous. By an ill-defined notion of no records, the harbor master, quote, deemed, unquote, my 1981 mooring assignment to be illegal, which made his 2026 permit renewal illegal, clearing the way for him to revoke my mooring permit just before my boat was scheduled to be launched. Every aspect of this fails the smell test, but taken as a whole sends a clear message to everyone associated with the harbor. The harbor department tolerates no public criticism. Public criticism of the harbor department is subject to official retribution. And in the case of retribution, nobody in town government will lift a finger to defend anyone's right of free speech or the right to petition their government for redress of grievances. Thank you.
The next item
Excuse me.
is,
Can I submit this to be added to the minutes?
yes. I suggest you offer it to Tony because the chairman's report, I'd like to commend the police department and the rest of town hall for handling two potentially difficult situations very gracefully. The first was the Tux Point party before the prom, in some, about 12, 13 years ago. There was no control whatsoever. And if there had been an emergency, they would have to have brought in a helicopter. Everybody was parked everywhere. The street was impassable. This year, there were almost no lines. They had people noticing when somebody left so that somebody else could come in. It was just really well handled. And the other is not complete yet, but I am amazed at how little disruption we've had from closing Union Street for the demolition. I expected to have cars lined up back to Crocker's Boatyard, and that hasn't happened.
I think it was well thought out, well managed, and well maintained. It's a great litmus test to see how we go going forward with any other projects. But yes, I haven't heard one complaint. And in fact, I have heard more virtuous comments about the way it's been handled. And I think that the entire everyone involved with the town staff and developer deserve thanks.
Yeah, I agree. I was there the first day, walked by it a couple times. There was a nice crowd. It was like our reality show. It was like our reality show, Manchester by the Sea. And I walked by almost every day since then just to see no traffic. I mean, no
There
complaints.
hasn't been anything on social media.
Yeah, no, and I also actually saw Tony's doppelganger there. I saw someone sitting there on the bench and like, I thought it was you, and I went up to, and it wasn't you. So. Really,
You have a twin. Could have been.
Yeah,
could have been your twin.
I just looked at the operation today. I gotta believe they're gonna be done in a day or two. Pretty much all of the junk is gone.
Do you have any update on how it's going?
They didn't, Friday, I guess they didn't get as many trucks in to unload some of the debris. We were hoping they'd be done by tomorrow. That might extend into Wednesday. We gave them until Friday, but with the hopes of getting it done sooner. It does look like they've got a lot of stuff
Yeah,
removed as of today.
Much cleaner today than it did yesterday.
We did get there were some questions to the Board of Health about asbestos removal.
Mhm.
I let them know, that they did go through, that's a state requirement. They went through the proper channels, got their certificate, provided that to us when they applied for the demolition permit.
Mhm.
And let the Board of Health know to respond to any inquiries on that with that information.
Is there anything we need to add to the action or items?
Oh, the only thing I had a note from the last time, senior center trustees. Put that in to take a look at that first quarter of 2027,
Right,
because right now it's kind of an interim situation.
little more meat around, not so much qualifications, but, criteria for
No,
serving.
who's gonna serve longer term, that's all.
Next meeting or the following meeting?
So the first quarter.
The first quarter of 2020, yeah, that's 6 months out.
I'm sorry, you mean, not fiscal first quarter, you
Calendar,
mean,
sorry.
got it, okay, so January of 2027, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the first item on our regular agenda is the reorganization of the board. Do I have a nomination for chairman?
I will move to nominate John Round as chairman.
Second,
Debate? Jeff,
Yes.
Brian,
yes.
Kathy?
Yes,
I say yes.
I'll abstain.
Come on, you can vote.
Yes, I did. Okay, so are we gonna play
Musical
musical chairs a little bit here? All right. Bring a sweater, Kathy.
I was gonna say, and did you bring Swiss?
Yeah, that's correct. Okay,
No, what you-
well, yeah, she's not sitting down.
How about if I move to nominate Kathy Bellata as vice chair so we can get these musical.
All right.
done?
Okay,
Second.
Okay, Jeff?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yes.
Kathy?
yes.
John, yes?
And yes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Kathy.
Congratulations, John, and may I say, a very warm thank you to Anne, for the chair, as being a wonderful chair of the past 20 years.
Well, thank you.
One more.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Really.
And thank you for handling the chairperson position with grace and aplomb, which is not easy to do with some of the issues that you've had to deal with over the past 3 years. But,
Thank you. I can say that this, with a great feeling of relief, that I turn this over to you.
okay, well, we'll see how things go from this point going forward. All right, one thing I would like to, before I do anything, is I think that we all should stand for a moment of silence. Jeff Wagner Turner, who passed away May 18th and is a former member of this board and a former current member of the Conservation Committee. Thank you.
And when my time comes.
I can think I'm still gonna be.
Traditionally, as part of the reorganization process, the board has also taken a vote to designate the Cricket as the official and the Gloucester Daily Times as the alternate newspaper for the town. Not sure why that was always tied to the
The
date that
changes.
we did the reorganization. But that was,
Mhm.
it must be an annual vote to take.
Yes.
Yeah,
So you have a motion there.
Okay,
I'll move that the Board designates the Cricket as the official and the Gloucester Daily Times as the alternate newspapers for the town.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? Kathy?
Yes.
And
Ann, yes. Brian?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And John says yes. Good. So we're set with that. All right. Under action items, the first comment or the first topic is drought conditions. And I think that, Tony, you sent something out on this
I just.
half an hour ago.
This, I didn't even send this out, I printed it for you. I'll make sure it gets added into the packet, but this is the immediate and short and medium-term steps that local governments have to take when the state declares a level 3 critical drought. It advises as to what that means for residents and businesses and explains what non-essential outdoor water use examples are and how they're defined. But essentially for us, it's adopt and implement the state's non-essential outdoor water use restrictions. For the drought, level 3 restriction calls for a ban on all non-essential outdoor water use. Provide timely information on the drought and on water conservation tips to local residents and businesses taking advantage of the state's library of outreach materials. So that's something we would put on the website. Enforce water use restrictions with increasingly stringent penalties. Strongly discourage or prohibit installation of new sod, seeding, and or landscaping, washing of hard surfaces, sidewalks, patios, driveways, siding, personal vehicle or boat washing unless needed for invasive control, and establish or enhance water use reduction targets for all water users, identify top water users and conduct targeted outreach to help curb their use.
Okay. I'm wondering, so this is level 3.
Yes,
Now there are 4 levels.
there's technically 5, but it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think it would be helpful if we could see what the requirements are for all 5, just to have this standing alone. Yeah, this tells me kind of what's going on, but I would like to put things in perspective. I think other consumers would as well.
Is Chuck here to give us an update on where we're at in town?
He is on. I talked to him, Chuck, if you're on, if you can come off mute. I talked to him earlier today. Our pond level is at 28 feet. Full is 30 to 31 feet. So we're in, as far as our local water supply, we're in a healthy standard, typical level for this time of year. Chuck?
Yeah, I'm here. That's pretty much what I would have said. So I think you're right on. It's it's just, this is one of those things where we've seen it, over the last couple of years since the state has made the drought plan. We're to follow it as part of our registration, and the stuff Tony put in front of you is kind of the standard operating procedure at this point.
The state's drought plan, it's not just a blanket statewide, there's sections, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they do it by region. We're Northeast region, even though we're in a different watershed than, say, like the Ipswich Basin, which is the more restrictive. Ipswich, Hamilton, Wenham, Danvers, Beverly, Salem. They have this kind of baked into there, but it's new for us because it's more by region than watershed.
So the Ipswich region is actually driving this thing.
That's substantially behind it. Yeah, I would say. And I would say it's just kind of like across the state. So even though, we're more in the, in the Northeast getting it by the Ipswich Basin, like in the Southeast, it's, Cape Cod really drives it with their conditions. In the Western, it's, Connecticut River Valley, stuff like that.
But the state's proclamation is a one size fits all for the whole state, regardless of what's going on, correct?
Well, by region. So most of the state is probably in a stage 3 right now. I'd have to look at the map, but Western Mass might be in a stage 2 or something like that, or Central.
No, we are Northeast region is the only level 3 right now.
Right.
Connecticut River is 2, Central region is 2. looks like Nantucket is 2, and then Cape Cod, Southeast region and Western region are all 1.
So if we took Manchester out of this, what would our town be, a 0 or a 1 compared to the rest of the region?
I'd have to look
Ooh.
at, you know, how they declare it. It seems as if they look at an 18-month look back of rainfall. And Chuck knows more about this than I do, but
Since,
you know, looking that far back, we had this same level 3 drought around this time last year. And then it went down to a level 2. And then I think if you recall, we did this again in the fall, late fall, we went back to a level 3. And then over the winter, it dropped down to a level 2. And now we're back. So
Last year when we had the situation, we didn't implement the ban though, did we?
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
No, there was
in
not.
June, this time last year, you did not.
Right.
In the fall, we did.
Oh, I told you. Yeah.
I'm prepared to just follow suit and do what we did last year.
That's kind of what
You know, I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm no scientist, but I'm looking at the most snow we've had in forever. The
Well,
most
for a
rain,
while.
and the most rain we've had in
Yeah,
other
but-
wet summer. I'm reluctant to, at this time of the year,
Done.
you know.
I
we-
know
we-
these things lag a bit, so I mean, I don't recall how many weeks. Like it didn't account for the rain we got a few days ago, right?
Right.
So, do we know the as of date? You know, what data were they looking at when they said we're in level 3 drought?
This is
So-
May 22nd. Go ahead,
Right.
Chuck.
I was just gonna say, it was right before Memorial Day. I think we got rain like that Friday. They declared it on a Thursday. And so the next typical meeting would be the first week of the following month. But, you know, because today is literally the first, maybe it'll go into next week and that's when they'll have their next drought meeting.
Yeah, so maybe could we postpone any action until we, you know, get a more realistic situation here? To answer your concern about the snow, from what I understand, all the snow we got, a lot of it was powder. It didn't have a lot of moisture content, and that's why we started off a little bit dry, but I certainly feel like we got a lot of rain recently.
My concern is that we have a lot of residents that are gonna start gardens, start doing plantings and stuff, and I don't wanna unnecessarily restrict people.
And one year we did allow for drip irrigation.
Hmm.
We didn't allow for sprinklers, but we did allow for.
That was, I think, universally accepted as a very dry time.
Right, right.
That was 2 years ago. That was one real serious one. Maybe.
Yeah, it was at
I
least a
think we
couple
all
years ago.
Could agree that it was dry then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not rather dry. I think
All right,
we're good fit.
so last year, what, did we ignore just ignore it? I mean, it's not like they have a water police drive. I think we just were silent.
And I'd like to continue.
And, well, Jeff's comment is well taken. There are a lot of people that are doing a lot of stuff that is dependent on water right now.
I would also agree with waiting to.
Yeah, and see
Any
what
actions?
see what an updated thing is. So we table this until the 1st of July.
I'm wondering if we could say restrict it to sidewalks, not don't water,
That's good.
sidewalks, don't wash your car. Don't wash your driveway.
Saying do a partial.
Do the things that
I think that's, I hear you, okay, so we're trying to at least show the state we're trying to do something. But I don't see a lot of people washing sidewalks
that's kind of a California thing.
and washing cars, yeah.
A little.
To be honest with you, I think, I don't recall ever driving by someone washing their car outside, to be honest with you,
Well, so token
but I think,
token compliance with no effect.
all right, so
Does it hurt?
if it's limited to washing your sidewalk and washing your car. And that shows the state that we're trying,
We're making,
we're making slow but baby steps progress. And it also shows that the residents that we are concerned about their plantings and their spring activities going to summer, that we're aware of it and don't want to inhibit that, so.
I think I just comment here. I think, it's certainly reasonable to put out, whatever messaging we want through Tiffany, through the Tide, through, the different sources. But like the official piece of paperwork that I put into the state when we do a ban is kind of like the full thing. Like if it has to be the non-essential language. So, again, you can do whatever we think is, the right thing for, the residents and everybody. But like the real meat of the matter, if that's what we're trying to solve, is the putting the paperwork in front of DEP that we've issued the non-essential outdoor ban. So that's like an official piece of paperwork. Otherwise, any of these other kind of smaller measures are all well and good, but it's not really moving the needle for the state. You know what I mean?
Are they expecting to hear back from you in a certain window of time?
I've never heard from them on this at all. It's more just like a formality of a piece of paper that I send to a certain email address and with certain people's email addresses on it at DEP. And I think they just put it in a file. And then at the end of the year, when I do our annual statistical report, I also put that paperwork in the same report. So, to the extent that they are doing some sort of record keeping, they would have it. Otherwise, it's not like I'm getting a call saying, hey, why haven't you implemented the ban? Or, hey, you can take off your ban. It's kind of like, it just is what it is at this point.
They do track by town, especially in the zones that are in the level 3 or level 4, who impose the restrictions. It is state law, so you do risk enforcement from the state on the town for non-compliance.
What's the enforcement?
Could be a enforcement order, non-criminal fines, legal action. Usually it comes through the form of some sort of administrative consent order of some sort from DEP.
We got nothing last time, so.
Yeah, nothing.
I'm willing to roll the
Yeah,
dice
I'm
here.
rolling the dice because Chuck, if we do impose this ban, you're gonna be the one that gets up for your Manchester Minute. Tell everyone we're doing it.
So
So,
I'm willing to say, ask Tiffany to ask people and not do it. And
Yeah, put out a message to conserve.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's reasonable.
like just a qualitative statement
Yeah.
rather than
and
being specific.
rather than having Chuck submit something that's obviously wrong.
Yeah, I think they have expectations in response. Are you
So
adhering or not adhering?
in our recent experience, they don't hear from him, they don't look.
Yeah. Chuck, did you go back to them last year when this restriction came up, or you were just silent?
Yeah, I was just silent. Like if we actually put out a ban and you guys vote on it to enforce a ban or to have a ban, then I submit the paperwork. Otherwise, I don't submit anything and I just move on.
Let's move on.
Okay.
All right, so.
It does say, I just want to let you know, it does say here, if a town fails to comply, Mass DEP can impose non-criminal fines on residents and businesses themselves. Because it's a state law.
Imagine they'd send us something. Get to that point, right?
Yeah. I would
It'd
think
be
so.
interesting if they move very quickly on
Yeah,
that.
I mean, he'll be went to town by the time that happens, so.
Yeah, and we can certainly revisit it at your next meeting or the
Let's
July meeting.
remember, let's revisit it in July. The 1st of July.
I'm on board.
Okay,
That's good.
see what the story is. So we'll be on record in the minutes that we will revisit this the 1st of July and see where we're at, because we have concerns about their comments reflecting what has happened in the past week.
We've got a lot of people that spend a lot of money on landscaping. Lots of money on it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll table that for, don't worry about that motion. We'll table that for July, whatever it is. 1st? No, 7th, whatever it is. Okay. The next item is the Volunteer and Employee of the Year Awards, and I think we were all sent by Debbie some information with regard to the nominees. And the volunteers associated with this. This is an initiative that has to be done covertly or anonymously, I would say, confidential. So what is the schedule for this expected to be, Tony, with regard to picking?
So in the future, it'll be a January process and an announcement at annual town meeting. We're behind schedule this year. And last year, I think we were as well. Prior to that, it was done on an annual basis up until about 2016.
I have my note 17 to 23. It's not done.
So last year, the announcement was made at Greg's retirement party. So I think we will have a public retirement party for Todd on June 11th. So my suggestion is that we announce it then.
Then that's about the same time, kind of.
Yeah.
Close.
So I would suggest that every select board member send Debbie their choice, maybe their first and second choice. And then we'll tally it up and
Okay.
See where we're at. That makes
Rather than voting for them by letter.
right. Well, I'll tell you what. Have Debbie send out a ballot
okay.
to all of us,
Yeah.
and we can just say, here it is, first and second, and Debbie will get educated on ranked choice voting.
Rank choice.
Ranked choice voting. Let's find out how easy it is to do.
I don't even know how that works, but okay, at least I recognize it.
So can I make a suggestion too for next year, like when we start this process again? When you talk about employee awards, I think we don't have enough structure around the nominations. I think it would be helpful, because we do have criteria, right? And I do think it would be helpful for the form to help the nominator address the specific criteria we're looking for. For example, I think some of the nominations we got felt like lifetime achievement awards rather than the employee did something exceptional this year. And so having done a lot of award stuff in my corporate life, the more specific you can be about timeframes, and the form that they submit reflect that. It can be helpful so that you're judging the nominee on the basis of the merits, not how well somebody wrote a nomination. And because some of there was a wide variety. Yeah. And so I just, in fairness to making sure we give everyone a fair shot, I think it's important to do a little bit of standardization, so.
If there were criteria in 2016, I don't know what they are.
No, and that's part of the issue, if we don't have clear criteria, we should, okay?
I don't know. Did we ever see the note that Debbie sent out asking for nominees?
I think Tiffany.
Would Tiffany sent that out? I don't remember.
There was on the website.
I thought there was some criteria.
There were some
I
criteria.
picked it off the tide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some, I just, in our desire to do something good for an employee, sometimes it has a negative side effect to those who were not either nominated or did not get it. So you want to make sure you have a level playing ground, and the selection is based on fair criteria. So
I would just assume.
otherwise it's a
Criteria.
popularity contest,
Yeah.
you don't want it to be a popularity contest.
I would like the criteria to come from the select board rather than Tiffany.
Yes,
So-
yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we
we-
should put something.
We will, we should review that.
On our
Can you
action
put that
item.
on an action item? Just anytime.
Notes on the action item list.
For, say, September, that we talk about what
Sometime in the near
criteria.
future.
In September, okay.
Right. For both slots.
Right.
Employee and volunteer. Okay, good. So then the nominees for that, well, Debbie will take care of that, send it out and give us a deadline, and then we'll see how that fits together. All right. Anything else on that? We're good?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, no. All right. The next topic is the display, is a policy issue on the display of flags in town policy. And you all have a draft of an update that in fact I put together. And in fact, sent it to Ann for some comment as well, before sending and having Debbie send it out to everybody. On tightening things up here, I think that over the past, especially the past month, circumstances have presented themselves that we didn't necessarily anticipate. And had to address in terms of the way our policy read now so that we could cover more possibilities. And in particular, it dealt with running the flag at half-staff when we had multiple opportunities to do so and are still in the middle of that with regard to Memorial Day, the death of Barney Frank, the pride flag raising, which happened earlier today. And then we also have Audrey Turner's recognition of his passing. So I put some copy in here to first separate out commemorative flags from historic commemorative flags. And put in some criteria there that really applied to the number of days that commemorative flags would be flown versus historic commemorative flags. But that's the primary difference there. But everything is at the select board's pleasure as to how many days it is, but we've got some days that are dictated there. And then another comment with regard to the American flag. And I did survey a number of flag policies, and I'll tell you that there are not very many in this state. 351 communities, there are not more than 20 that have flag policies. Most of them do not. They're silent because it just never came up or whatever. And so they just hew to whatever the policy is that comes from the federal regulations, the federal statutes or the state statutes. So there isn't a lot of precedent, but I will say that those that are out there, the American flag is pretty much always flown. There are several where it's not commented, but where it is addressed, they do say, yes, the American flag must always be on the flagpole. So one thing that would change from what we've done in the past year or two, or the past year anyway, is that we will always have the American flag over a commemorative flag, whatever the situation is. And that's what the suggestion is here. And I know that at half-staff, it gets a little low.
And it breaks things.
I don't know.
It did on the honor roll,
Okay,
broke the light.
yeah, I know that was I know their light did break. That was the POW flag that was below.
No, there was a commemorative flag below the POW flag.
Oh, they had 3 flags.
Yeah.
All right, we're never gonna get to that point. No.
Don't
Got it.
don't count on it.
Well, at this point, I think 2 flags is what would work here. So I've got a draft here that I assume that you folks have had a chance to take a look at. And I wondered if you had any comments with regard to the way it reads now.
I like it. I am concerned about the mechanics of flying 2 flags, as Ann said. If it's doable, great.
The fire department, and that they know that they have to rig it, so right now it cannot fly 2 flags, but it will as of this time tomorrow. They have to put in another coupling so that they've got 2 flags that they can put up. So that will happen. Right now, we just can only fly 1 flag.
Right, yeah, I just didn't know I don't know, people had said in the past that it wasn't tall enough or something.
It's not a super tall flagpole, but you know.
I mean, as long as it works, it's,
Yeah,
fine with me.
okay. Until some other strange situation or situation that we didn't anticipate comes up, but
Unanticipated.
Unanticipated.
Strange. But
yeah,
yeah,
not strange,
but it's strange.
that's correct.
Why do you put in specific time links and then say, but the select board can override it? It just seems like verbiage that doesn't add anything.
Well, I mean, I look at the pride flag and that is a commemorative flag.
Mhm.
That's up for a month just because it is Pride Month.
Yeah,
And so it is flying for a month, but I don't think that most commemorative flags would be up for a month.
right, and we make that decision.
And we made, yeah, that's what I mean.
The
We
select board.
made the decision that, in other words, you don't want to have any days dictated for at all.
Yeah, just the length that the flag will be flown is determined by the select board.
Okay,
Where did the 2 days come from, I guess is the question.
I think that was,
Stolen from Concord.
yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
from some other,
That's right. Inspired by Concord.
yeah, or some other one. I mean, a lot of this stuff is taken from other ones. I mean, that could be changed to one day. And we did have the Friends of the Trees flag, that was up for one day,
Mhm.
I think.
So I think I would prefer to see this left completely open to the select board to decide how long each flag should be flown.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it should be commensurate with whatever
Right.
event or whatever it is we are commemorating. And it may be one day, it may be a week in some instances, it may be a month.
Yeah.
The 2 days seems a bit arbitrary to me.
Okay, well, for the historic commemorative flags, it's 7 days.
Right, and I don't understand, I would just take out all of the time limits.
Okay, if you take out the links, both paragraphs read identical. And there's no distinction between a historic flag and a regular commemorative flag.
Yeah,
So what was the impetus for separating them?
Trying to remember what the situation was.
I'm thinking, I'm just guessing here. I wasn't involved with writing.
It was when the
Might have been
Foster flag came.
Might have been the
Forester.
Forester flag that you wanted to fly it for a week.
And so why couldn't we just make that decision to fly?
And we did.
I think we did, right?
Yeah.
So at the time when the proclamation is made, we can make that determination.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it simple, girl. So it's like we
Okay.
seem to be introducing added language that may complicate things.
Mhm.
I think you're looking for a default,
I don't,
is what you're looking for,
A what?
a default.
Yeah,
But if the select board can override the default, then it's still up to the select board anyway as to how long it flies. We're just adding extra language that. I mean, we're
well,
making the decision.
yeah, there's a default in the sense that you don't want to be sitting around saying every time a commemorative flag flags, well, how many days are we gonna do this?
why not? We have to make a
You can.
proclamation and we have to make a
Yeah.
whole thing saying that this is government
But it's a
speech.
default thing. We could take it out and then you just consolidate it as
Yeah.
just commemorative. I would leave language in that there is historical commemorative and commemorative flags, but the time.
Mhm.
All right. What about the American flag being there shall always be displayed on the flagpole?
I'm fine. I think that's a very good idea
I like it. I just wanna make sure it's doable, that's all.
that we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like, and so like, say today's situation, if the American flag is gonna fly half mast, where's that gonna leave the next?
Just.
well, it's down below that. That's the discussion.
So
It gets lower.
I think, so again, it makes sense to have the American flag on it, but shame on us if we didn't install this flagpole to be tall enough to have 2 flags, because the entire reason for having that flagpole was for commemorative flags. So I'm assuming that it can hold
Well,
2 flags.
I think that, I don't think it's gonna be too low,
Right.
but
we
it might not be
talked
high enough to
about.
make someone happy. Or, but, as long as we follow that criteria, it is what it is.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, all right. So I can take it upon myself to modify the copy
Here,
here.
second read.
So for a second read, well, actually first read, because I gotta modify it. So we'll take out any reference to calendar days.
Any thoughts on when the state declares that the American flag go to half mast, that the commemorative flag temporarily is removed for that period of time.
I would have a concern about that
Yeah.
because the entire reason we put up that flagpole, the entire reason was for commemorative flags. So if it's not tall enough to have a flag at half mast, because it would have to be at half, it would have to be lower anyway. If the American flag on the other flagpole was at half mast, you know, the one by the honor roll, you still have to lower the commemorative flag.
Yeah.
So to me, if we didn't buy a flagpole
We'll
that's
find
tall
out
enough,
tomorrow, won't we?
we'll find out.
Yeah, well, I
Let's
mean,
keep
right
moving the
now,
problem
at
instead of-
the honor roll, that is at half-staff with 2 flags.
Yeah, so it's the POW flag.
POW flag and the American flag, so that's there. That
That's
flag,
what I'm saying. I just think we should, if there's a problem with this flag, if it, within 24 hours, we find out we have a problem with our flagpole, the resolution is to fix the flagpole, not necessarily change the policy.
Okay.
all right.
That would be my, let's fix the root
So,
cause.
but do you wanna wait, or do you wanna approve the American flag being on the pole now and redo the
Well,
rest of
this
it
is still
later?
just a first read, so whatever we do now doesn't change what's happening outside our doors right this second.
And we'll
Well,
get
but
stems
she's-
tomorrow.
But
when
she's
we-
making, you know, the point to be made is, yeah, tomorrow should we have the American flag on?
Right, this is where I'm going.
That's where he's going.
Well, that's not, the American, well,
It's
Okay,
not,
here
it's
we go.
really not.
Because if we
the
do
pole-
it and it's not policy, you know it's gonna be an issue.
but so what we're saying is that if there is no American flag, the commemorative flag will be a little higher, still lower than the American flag
Yes.
at the honor roll,
Yes.
but it'll be higher, so it's not.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
had some discussions to that effect.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, that's gonna be taken care of tomorrow, right?
Right.
Regardless of what the fire department does.
that what,
We'll lower the,
Commemorative flag?
flag pole, the commemorative flag to below the American flag.
Yeah, I don't know what who's looked at that, what are we talking, 6 inches or a foot or something, or I don't know.
No,
the height
it
of the-
would come down to half staff.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, that's, I don't know if it's. It's
That
proper
can be taken care of tomorrow.
tomorrow, exactly.
No
Regardless.
problem.
Right, the fire department can come over in the morning.
And honestly, the pole isn't set up for 2 flags right now.
It's not, but they can set that up tomorrow morning.
I don't know.
I think we don't have that the policy that we currently have doesn't call for.
Doesn't cover that, so we just leave it.
So
as
we'll
it is.
just leave it for now
For
and
now.
And put that at half-staff, following the half-staff requirements, which are right now to June 8th. And then again, June 17th to the 19th or whenever.
That's
Well, we'll have another select board meeting before then. We have an opportunity to
Yes. Yeah, we can,
make a different decision then.
okay, all right.
So what's the resolution here?
so
So-
lower the commemorative flag. Be lower than the American flag that's at the honor roll.
Mhm.
When the American flag rises back up to full
Mhm.
mast,
Which is
bring
the
the
9th.
commemorative flag back up
June
to.
9th. Okay,
And then we'll look at how, when we add,
Mhm.
where it actually drops when we have a second flag on it.
Right.
Yeah.
all right. We've got to tell Jake that.
I'm on it.
You're on it? Okay, all right, good. And then in what's 2 weeks from now? 15th, yeah. So that's before the anticipated time with Jeff.
Mhm.
All right. Any other comments on that? So no motion needs to be made on it. That's just a to-do list item. Okay. Harbor Management Plan update. We got a lot of stuff to read like 3 hours ago.
Yeah. Haven't looked at it. Gotta be honest with you.
Really?
I'm gonna get the Cliff Note version right now.
I need it. Wondering, Harbor Management Task Force, please.
I wanted a flag.
Also one
I
time.
wanted a flag. for the harbor.
Well, I'm sorry that, thanks Jim for coming, Jim Elder. With Selfish.
Yep.
And our, task force was, I think, formed by the select board at the request of the harbor master some years ago. I think we worked for almost 2 years. And we were never, you asked, I think the last time we came, what was our purpose? And there was not a harbor management plan that we were working to update. So we did our best to describe the goal of Old Harbor, think about, get input through a forum, through a survey, and through a whole bunch of interviews that were, all of which was consolidated and led by Urban Harbor's Institute at UMass. So I think the value of this, and please feel free to jump in, is that for new staff, new town administrator, there's now a comprehensive appendix that describes the harbor, and that means harbor, largely the harbor's edge from Magnolia to Beverly Farms, although it seemed like most of our recommendations always came back to the main harbor. Not all. But most of the recommendations came back to the main harbor. The structure, like I said, there was survey, of forum, interviews, and there was representation from the Concom, from Stream Team, from Shellfish Board, from and Harbor Advisory. So we did our best to, and I would say that most of our meetings were not attended by any people. I think public, with the exception that I think Skip Crocker came a couple times and had some very insightful input. The structure that Urban Harbor Institute usually uses is what we started with. It's what the forum organized around. And then we actually wordsmithed in public session all of it and moved all their stuff around, I think. I mean, they were very responsive to our input, but they did say that we mucked with their process more than anybody else had. They structure the and our massaging was five goals. The first is protect the town's commercial and public facilities and services from sea level rise and flooding. The second was provide safe and navigable waters, which seems to be obvious, right? The third is maintain and enhance public access and awareness. The fourth is ensure healthy water quality and protect natural resources in and adjacent to the town's coastal waterways. And the fifth is support the marine economy. And I guess one of the things that we did find, I'm speaking my opinion here, but the public input is challenging because a lot of times people say things that because they just don't know what's going on. There was the one that comes to mind is the comment that the town or MSA should offer adult sailing lessons. But they already do, adult, it already exists. They just, whoever made that comment didn't know. And what happened with Urban Harbors is they would take those comments and just plop them into this structure. And that's where we said, well, wait, that's not true. And, and we also, so we worked pretty hard to suss out that. The Appendix B does have all of the comments if you want to work through them and try to figure out who said something. So you did just get this, and I was away, but anyway, the key thing is that under those 5 goals, we have specific action findings, that's what we call them, and goals, findings, and recommendations. And some of them are pretty obvious, in terms of protecting for climate change, some policies, updating laws and regulations. And then the table shows whether we think it's a highest priority, and we had a lot of high priorities, which is maybe a fault. And then who we thought was in charge of seeing that. One of the things Urban Harbors put in the executive summary, and we went back and forth on, is there should be a staff person who oversees the implementation of this plan. And we didn't feel that we could make that recommendation. So we removed it and said, we will go to the select board and ask them to help us think about how to assign this responsibility, keep it on people's radars. So for example, in the climate change, I don't actually look at this in the lab. Planning for climate change and updating laws and regulations. Among the responsibilities, there's the planning board, the Concom, the town administrator, and the select board. And I do know that as the planning board is addressing the general district, we are thinking about the climate change issue. One of the things we've seen in the planning boards, we did a bunch of administrative stuff, we did a bunch of housing stuff, and we've done not that much on environmental stuff, so we're including that in our work plan. So, you know, at least in that case, it has, they're linked. And all of our committee was charged with going back to the committees that they represented to at least go through the recommendations. And so on, under plan, providing safe and navigable waters, this was the area that we kind of had a synthesized new idea. And that is that there is to determine the harbor's capacity. And that's not just the space for moorings, but also financial capacity, infrastructure capacity, traffic and safety capacity. We had hoped that Urban Harbors would give us their sort of knowledge on that, and we pushed them hard, I would say. And they said nobody had really ever asked them. You know, I sort of thought in a simple way, they would say, you know, 100 moorings per acre or whatever is too many or too few or too big, or, you know. And they didn't have a good way to do that. So, and of course, it's a dicey, you know, issue by definition. But it still seemed to us as we worked through this, that this issue of capacity, not just on moorings, but on all those other things, safety, competing uses, that kind of thing, was important for particularly the harbor, the select board, the harbor master, the harbor advisory committee to think a little bit more deeply about. And try to put some understanding of those intersecting challenges. So, you know, sort of a carrying capacity in terms of the environment and in terms of safety. I think we were pretty concerned about the intersection of ever larger power boats coming all the way down the harbor with kayaks and paddleboards and that kind of recreation, because one of the things about a harbor, I'm going to digress for a second. One of the things about a harbor management plan is if it becomes a state approved plan, which we decided early on, we're going to try to cross that hurdle. And I don't know what that hurdle requires. So, but it becomes a state approved plan. You can get certain, there may be certain benefits. There might be a revision when we know that those are benefits we want to get. But public access, because it's in DEP and with the Chapter 91 license, public access is a really important question. And the presumption from the Urban Harbors is that, you know, that more public access is always better. Would you agree with me? Yeah. And we pushed back on that too and said, we have a lot of public access to the harbor and to the coast, say beach and many places you can launch a boat, particularly if you're a resident, and significant views of the harbor and the coast. So that was an area where I think they kept putting it back in, that the goal should be more public access, and saying maintain the public access we have. And I guess that was sort of one area that that was, you know, an area where we really thought a lot about that. And then the other thing is to continue to have public education about, so that we have, the next time a survey is done, more people know the right answers to you know, they don't want something that we already have, for example. And that's always an ongoing challenge, as we know. Then under healthy water, you want to speak to this one, the healthy water and water quality and natural protection?
Yeah, just that, we go back just a little bit or up. level, there were two major areas that we didn't really feel like we had enough enough information to make concrete recommendations. And this was one, the natural resources that we don't really know what's in the harbor from a natural resource perspective. We don't know what fish are there. We don't know what plant life is there. We don't know what shellfish are there. And we don't know the condition. So we felt like there needed to be some further work done on this one in particular. And also on this question of capacity. There must be some firms out there that can do a capacity study for us and tell us, as Sarah was saying, you've got too many, you've exceeded the normal capacity for moorings, or you've exceeded the normal capacity for boat traffic, or whatever.
Or we have potential growth area.
Or we've got potential for growth. So those were the two areas in general that didn't have a lot of, we couldn't get our hands on much information, and we wanted to know what the situation was in both those cases.
Yeah, we, on the capacity, going back onto the harbor capacity, the urban harbors did say that they had never done a plan where they were aware that boats hit each other on a regular basis. On moorings, boats hit each other.
Oh, on moorings.
On moorings. Regularly, many boats are so close.
Mhm.
And they said, they did say that they were unaware of another, they had not heard that before. So, so that's a little piece that shows that to, you know, to us, that felt like it's, you know.
So you're saying that does happen in our waters,
absolutely.
and we may be unique in that regard.
Yes.
I have never heard of that. The whole purpose of having the mooring was so
Yeah,
they don't hit each
so
other.
we also did ask about data.
Yeah.
I think it back to capacity, that is there data about accidents or about sinkings or about boats being hit? And because you hear anecdotal, and I think there may be data, but the samples are small. So, you know, if you have one boat that's hit by a boat going through the harbor this year and you have two next year, it's 100% increase, but it's still only two.
Right.
And you could argue that two is too many, but we're, well, you know, this, any data is going to be small samples. The numbers are, you know. So determining what is in the harbor, the health of our harbor, helps us to then figure out what policies are being made. One of the things we debated, for example, is anecdotally, there's this feeling that, well, certainly it seems that they have best practice to prohibit, and I don't know if that's legal, but just for argument's sake, prohibit the application of fertilizer along lawns that are going to run off into the harbor. But we didn't go that far because we don't know for sure that the algae blooms are being caused. I think there's a significant loading from fertilizer runoff. So if you did some sampling after a rain, you might find the chemicals that are in fertilizer, and then could be a basis for a policy. So that was the kind of thing we spend a fair amount of time looking at. And then the last goal, support the local marine economy. And this one was about recognizing that we do have a marine economy. It has people who do moorings, it has people who are boatyards, it has the economy downtown for visitors. And also the visitors who come and don't ever get on the water, but look at it because it's, you know, or go to the beach. And the fisheries infrastructure is important, and that water dependent uses are important. That is an area where the planning board is the party responsible if there were zoning changes, for example. And given that we are going to be looking at the general district, that we will be looking at that. So I think that's the summary. Happy to, after you've had more than 5 minutes to look at it, to Yeah, reach out to them, me or Henry Ottinger, Deb Grace, Peter Giffens. But I think the question we really wanted to hear your input is how do we make this like
Codify it.
yeah, I mean, codify is too strong a word, but how do we make sure that that we're all focusing on
The plan doesn't go in a drawer and disappear.
That's exactly the question.
Yeah.
So there's a plan, but then there's an implementation plan, which is
Right.
different than
Right.
a strategy.
Right, and we've assigned responsibility, but it doesn't really, you know, I mean, the other piece, I guess I should have started with is that the name of the plan or the somewhere it says. We really wanted to highlight that the harbor is a treasure. And that it is somewhat, you know, at risk. Certainly a change with sea level rise, certainly increased use. It stands to reason that the natural resources are threatened. How much, how fast is it is a question, but the treasure, you know, the views of the harbor for we have the, you know, for our school systems, sports teams. Those kinds of things are important pieces, obviously, of, you know, of Manchester that actually are enjoyed by, are open to everyone in some capacity or another.
It's really the defining feature of the town. It's what makes
Yeah.
Manchester, Manchester.
So I have a question for Tony. So how, or maybe you can answer it, Sarah. What is who should be approving this plan? So this committee, which we, you know, set off to do a great job, and they have this assuming wonderful plan, but what's the quote unquote approval process for something like this?
I would think that the select board would have a role in that, and then if you wanted to include it as like a section to the town's master plan, that might trigger the planning board's involvement as well, or
It'd be
would that just
worthwhile for us
select
to
board
understand
to look into that?
who should approve, because then I think that a starting point to answer your question, who's responsible for ensuring it's implemented, right? So there's you guys have come up with your thoughts on who's responsible, but once you understand who should approve it, you know, then we can.
The approving body
The
can.
approving body or
Yeah.
bodies would go through that and say, here's who is responsible.
It sounds like realistically, there's gonna not be just one steward of this.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna have an environmental part, you're gonna have all these different parts. It's most likely gonna get split up among.
My suggestion would be that you can, it would be great if you approve the plan, but there may be things that you think are, you know, and we're kind of done. We've exhausted the grant and the UHI spent more time in this than I think they had budgeted, but you could accept the plan. It is on the website. You could accept rather than approve, maybe that if it matters. And then my suggestion is that we have a workshop with those people who are those representatives from these groups that or maybe full committees that are identified, and then we kind of walk through how might we put these in action in your Concom and planning board. And that we sort of have a working session to tell people what this is, even though they're supposed to have heard about it through the liaisons, but talk through a little bit more and say, how might this become implemented? Which things are we able to get done? Under what time frame? So that would be my suggestion is that we have a conversation about it in some depth, you know, kind of a working session. And does that make sense?
Yeah, I would just add to it that, and maybe this is in your court, Tony, but someone ought to be responsible for coordinating, not for necessarily executing and carrying everything out, but ensuring that things keep moving forward on the various different items in the plan.
I've got when you say approval, I'm not sure what that means. Like you agree with the results, you agree that that it's a thorough report or
Otherwise, they just accept it.
Well, so I
or
think so.
accept it? I'm not sure what that,
So here's what I would suggest though, if you're going to have a plan, if the town is going to have a harbor management plan, in order for it to be a useful document, it means we're going to implement it. And if we're going to implement something, I'm not afraid of using the word approve. I think we should approve a harbor management plan. I'm not disagreeing with your next steps, but maybe we accept it as a draft until we have a more, maybe a final public, whatever you want to call it, event to fine tune it.
We did have a public hearing. I think Ann came, and I think Cindy was. And,
After its current state, like the
Yeah.
current state, okay, so you already done that.
Urban Harbors did a very high level, that's sort of my suggestion. But, and we did hear, a couple of concrete comments from Ann that we did like about parking. We did change that, because people don't understand about what to allow. And the other comment we received is that the public hearing was, too high level. So,
So again, I still think we need to understand what an approval process might look like, because a plan should guide what we do. So I'm a little uncomfortable. Otherwise, why are we doing it, right? So I'm a little uncomfortable having an unapproved plan guide what we do. I know it's
Yeah,
language,
I mean,
but
I look at it,
Yeah.
I think. You know, at this phase of of something, it's not necessarily that everything in the plan is something that the select board. Is gonna say, this is the direction we want the town to follow.
Right.
That doesn't mean you edit the plan, right? You can accept the plan and then the elements that the select board. All or some want to, focus on implementation. That's kind of another phase. I mean, I look at like,
I don't want to approve a plan that has pieces in it that I don't want to have done.
right, yeah, so that, what Ann said, but also, let's say, like today, we had the whole discussion on Ocean Street, right? So let's say we come up with some ideas that are in directly conflict what's in that plan, the harbor management plan, that would make me a little uncomfortable.
right.
Right, so I think that's why I'm pushing on, like I said, we haven't had 2 seconds to read this thing.
Right.
Let's read it, let's digest it, come back and have a real discussion on how to implement it or what parts we're uncomfortable implementing. And then ultimately, somebody in town hall has to has to have some ownership stake in each piece, most likely. That they may not drive because it may not be a high priority, but whatever work they're doing should not be in direct conflict with it without bringing that before the board.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Take, for
It's a
example,
guide point.
Ocean Street,
Yeah.
the first recommendation is plan for climate change. It says, we said the town should complete a coastal vulnerability action plan for the portion of the town that's not included in the existing vulnerability plan. So work on Ocean Street is actually is consistent with that.
I'm glad to hear that. That's
You know,
great.
So,
But if it wasn't, right,
or-
then that
or
would be a
if I
problem.
if I hadn't heard that you were gonna do anything on Ocean Street.
Right.
And I was a resident, I could say, well, you should be planning for Ocean Street because it's a known problem and it's outside of where the existing
Mhm.
vulnerability plan exists.
Yes.
So I think that that's a way that at least being familiar with what
Mhm.
we came up with, and for sure, there will be recommendations that maybe we don't agree with. But those, it's some of it's pretty common sense.
Right.
stuff.
But when you talk about the density, I just did a quick AI search. It is odd that the consultants were not able to help you more in that regard. Seems like the US Army Corps of Engineers might have some guidance. There's rules of thumb here, engineering, technical standards. Certainly the types of moorings, the more modern ones allow for higher density. That's something that Bion has been telling us. So
Yeah.
it feels weird that no one could do the math for you to help us with the capacity. Capacity is something that's really basic.
We started this before.
Yeah, right, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. There should be help out there, right? There should be help out there.
I think it's, yeah,
It's just a matter of,
this first one that was done, we were.
it's gonna be,
Did you say that the Urban Institute more or less is done?
yes, they're done.
Okay, all right. So we've got what we've got.
Right.
And you say, hey, accept it or you don't accept it. So you don't accept it, what happens? Nothing.
You could send another committee out to revise.
That's not practical.
No, I think,
It looks like this, and all I've done at this point is kind of skim the executive summary. That's all I've done. And any report like this, I want actionable recommendations. Otherwise, I'm just reading stuff. And right now, it looks like there are several. And as Ann says, yeah, maybe there are a lot of them, and a few of them I don't agree with. And if you go around the room, everybody's not going to agree with all of them. But so long as there are actionable items that we all kind of agree make sense, you can do something with this.
I mean, I think that's what we tried to do. We tried to come up with things that were actionable.
Okay, well, I mean, we'll read it, but what we've got is what we've got. It's not gonna,
I mean, I guess.
Change from this
you could
point.
say-
and I think it's important for us to approve whatever we publish out there because Tony's team should be using it as a guide to make investments or not make investments because they're contrary to what we think we desire, the plan.
It's entirely possible if you do take it seriously and you want to send it back to the committee on a particular
Yeah.
aspect or whatever, I think we'd probably be willing to meet again.
Of course.
well, they're kind of like specific areas, not a major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some specific issues.
So, question I know you had members from the Harbor Advisory Committee on your
And
committee.
we went to the harbor.
That was gonna be my question. So you did, and have they provided you with any feedback or had an opportunity to review
they
the
were-
entire thing?
Many for the forum. We had 496 surveys.
Awesome.
Which is pretty high.
But have they reviewed the final product?
And
And
Henry went,
I didn't do it.
Henry went to their meeting.
Henry's on,
Henry's got his hand up.
and he's got his hand up, he might be able to answer.
Yeah, okay, was that Henry?
Henry Ottinger.
Okay, yes.
Hi, thanks very much. Henry Ottinger, 22 School Street. I was on the Harbor Planning Task Force. We spent about 2 years, putting this together. I guess I just want to say a couple quick things. The recommendations are in place. They're there. No one has to read the entire document to get the gist of things. So we created, a set of tables that have our recommendations. And I just want to focus everybody on one of the last columns in that those tables are who we think would be appropriate to help implement those recommendations. And so in my view, select board would help a lot with just looking at those and saying, yeah, those are the right people, those aren't the right people, or here are some more people we could get for that. But everything is in place. I think it could be digested in 30 minutes if you stick with the 5 tables of goals that we set out for. That's it.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yes, that tells us how to approach this.
So could we put this, give us
And then
more than 30 seconds to review and maybe come back at another
Yeah.
meeting tonight?
Right, so the action, yeah, I mean, so we all have to review this. I think then we have to decide who's going to accept this. I mean, my default right now is the committee, but you're very close to this and we have to have others that I think are.
I think we have voted to.
Okay, so you,
They have, yeah, I mean, the other thing I just want to, I'm digressing, but we literally wrote this in public session. It is the most painful thing. I don't know what the answer to that is, but we went through every single edit in a public meeting. So it's very difficult to do that. So we gave feedback to UHI, but then they reviewed, I mean, it was tedious.
A bit tedious, but the committee was sufficiently genial so that it wasn't that painful. my opinion.
Good. I don't know, Sarah.
That's one man's interpretation. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, so.
Anyway, thank you to.
Well, I'm glad
Thanks.
Right.
We're glad you're interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For signing out at the late notice. I give everybody very late.
No, all right. Well,
Great.
we will be back to you with, within the next, couple of meetings or so. to review this. See what the
Great,
story
thank
is.
you.
Thank you, guys, really.
Thank you very much for, 2 years.
Really tedious work.
I know it's a long time.
2 years will never get back.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, we'll be faster.
All right. Almost on flag, the sign.
That's right. Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Let's see, the next one is this advocacy plan. Kathy, was this you?
I just wanted to have a discussion on it. Doesn't have to be a long one.
Okay,
But, it was more aligned with, so I made the comment at a prior meeting that we have new representation at the State House. We will have new representation in Congress. And some of the challenges that we have regarding controlling costs, the expensive buildings we gotta build and whatever other infrastructure investments we make, a lot of the costs that drive that, the higher costs are driven by regulations or laws or bureaucracy that don't come from this town, and there are other, climate resilience, we may need some funding for different things that we don't have right now, but we don't seem to have a cohesive voice to really advocate for our position with our representatives, whether it be at the state level or the federal level. We try and fund everything ourselves, and then we also try and, Tony's team does a great job getting grants. But when we get a grant, it just means we're paying for something out of our right pocket instead of our left pocket, because we all pay state and federal taxes too. So I think it's time for us to think about what are those things we would like to see change, or what are those things we would like to advocate for at the state level and at the federal level, and partner with other like-minded towns to try and institute some type of change. At the state level, we have the MMA, I think that's the right acronym, right? That at Mass Municipal Association, they advocate for certain changes to state law to make it easier for towns to do business. And, our lieutenant governor, she was a mayor. She, if you can speak to her on an issue with a consolidated voice, 20 towns go to her and say, hey, we need this, people can listen. And at the state level, a lot of that advocacy, I think is done through the MMA, but, we're not really engaged in that.
well, I don't know, I wonder if this is a solution looking for a problem. I mean,
We got a problem.
Yeah,
It's just, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, as the story goes, who's going to bell that cat?
Well, I think for me, it starts with, if we could wave a magic wand and change something at the state or federal level, what would it be? Just as far as the bureaucracy that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. I don't know what that is. I would need Tony's help to articulate that. And if there were some things that we identified that, gosh, if we could change those for you, like Chuck and Nate, their area, if we could remove these bureaucratic laws, whatever they are, pick one or two things. Are there other towns and cities that have the same problem? What should we do to join with those other towns to advocate for changing the laws at the state? That's how you drive change. And I feel like we're putting the entire burden on Tony and his team to do that advocacy at the state level. Well, we have, residents here who can write to their congressman, write to their representative. There are people here in town who are politically engaged. And if we gave them a message, say, help us with this, I think they would. I just don't know what to ask them to do.
this is,
We just did that, didn't Andy? As far as meeting with area harbor masters and and state elected officials as far as changing some of the post requirements for, so we've already started that. It's not uncommon, and I think that maybe it's on a more of a per issue basis.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm not, I'm not looking for a comprehensive, let's do everything, but I feel like,
As well, building costs are too expensive. Let's repeal Davis-Bacon.
well, but there are some things in there, small things like, earthquake, I'm gonna throw something out there, earthquake requirements. You know what? Not every town needs their buildings to be earthquake proof. Maybe ours does, because we're in Cape Ann, but not every town does. That it adds cost, so there are probably some requirements.
Now you're
that-
talking building codes, I mean.
It could be, I don't know what, like I said, I'm just throwing it out there what we do today is just deal with it, I hate to use the phrase, excuse me, suck it up and deal with it. The state law is what it is, and we don't think we have the power to change any of that, and we do if we, advocate and work better with other towns. My struggle is I don't know what to ask for, but I think, I sense that there is something.
The funding sources are the issue, are the main issue.
And we do a lot of that already,
Right.
in different forms.
Yep.
In fact, about 25 of the surrounding towns, we were, really Linfield was kind of the leader on it. We were trying to get all of our state reps and senators there, and we had worked as a group at the manager level to formulate what our asks,
Yes.
were. We couldn't get the legislators to show up.
Well, so
we-
that's what I'm getting at.
And we have a lot of those discussions in a regional capacity, whether that's through MMA, MAPC,
Mhm.
just our municipal managers, small town managers associations. And we advocate for different types of legislation through those groups or oppose certain legislation through those groups.
Mhm.
Ultimately, I think, where it falls short is at the legislature, at the state house,
Right.
and really, kind of fill in the room, so to speak,
Right.
with voices. One of the big things that I was pushing with that most recent effort that a lot of the other municipalities agreed with, and MMA chimed in too, was that there should be some sort of, at the legislature level,
Mhm.
when any bill,
Mhm.
any law is being proposed and it meets a, third reading type stage, like it's ready to be put on the floor for a vote, there should be a municipal impact
Mhm.
committee or, review process, because so many of these regs, laws,
We don't see them.
requirements, end up having a significant impact on our budget. Every town manager says the same thing. It's, we love these policies. We're supportive of all these policies that are, protecting the environment or, protecting public safety. And these are all really important policies. The trickle down effect is
They're unfunded mandates.
they're unfunded mandates and
Killing the town.
the consultants are the ones that you're forced to, because no town can manage these things on their own.
Right.
You're forced to hire a consultant for each one of these different things. And it ends up being really costly to the town. On an individual basis.
Right.
Have probably monthly or every other month, communication with the senator and now Reptar as well. And we have, less frequent communication with the federal delegation. Unless there is a particular project that we have in front of them, like I've talked to Congressman Moulton's office really frequently about the culvert, the brick grant, Markey's office about the senior center. So there's a lot of that stuff is happening. It's not a bad idea for us to think about what are some of the struggles that we have with either state law, state reg, or whatever that we see come up a lot, and that's something that I can bring to the other communities and try to garner support for, and then track
Yeah,
that process.
I think it would be helpful for us to be more aware of what they are, because you have, how many, 2,500 voting residents in this town who are likely willing to help. And I suspect residents in other towns. So those people you mentioned, they are elected. Okay, and I don't feel you and your team should be the only ones doing the advocacy. If we have a better understanding of what you're advocating for and for whom, that plan, then we can engage the public in writing to their elected officials and helping speak. That's how Proposition 2.5 was,
Yeah.
created, right? It was grassroots.
I'll tell you something, after going through the whole lottery situation at Essex Tech and it falls on deaf ears and people get discouraged because they write letters.
Yep.
They do, I can't even tell you the amount of conversations, the meetings statewide, the people writing letters. There was letters that would fill this building, and you know what happened?
I'm aware.
And they ended up exactly with the same thing. They pushed it through, and this is
At
what
the end.
happens.
At the end too.
At the
It's
Yeah,
like,
at the last minute.
Where, yeah,
So this is why people get discouraged and
I
they don't want to do these things.
I understand. I just don't get easily discouraged.
Okay, well.
That's
you know,
not easily discouraged. It was
But I'm just
5
saying-
years of conversations.
Round in circle and you wind up where you're at. The
It's-
TARs are here every month.
Yep.
Or their representative. And I will tell you right now, Nina, who is Drew TARs, she would show up here
Right.
and there's never anybody here. And I think she was here like Tuesdays. She's changed her schedule. Now she's showing up for senior caucus.
Right.
Because now she's got 30 or 40 people
But
who can do that. And, that's an opportunity. When these people show up, it's an opportunity to not only to bend their ear to say, what are you hearing from other towns
Right.
that are problems? Because we don't know what we don't know necessarily
Yeah.
sitting here. I think the department heads know, and I know Chuck is working, for instance, on the water drought thing. He's trying to get us out of that.
Right.
There's a working group that's trying to get us out of this state
Right.
mandated thing. So I think them as those folks showing up here monthly is an opportunity to kind of jumpstart. Where should we start with this?
I agree. I think my only point is when the legislators meet with us, wherever we might see them, we're all giving them our own individual opinions. If we had, it's like a marketing plan. It's an advocacy plan. We all had the same message. What we would do is at those coffees, we would amplify the message, it's how change can actually happen as opposed to everybody just speaking with different voices.
It's a challenge to say, all right, I'm gonna canvass all of these other towns and see what their top 3 or 4.
But that's what the committees are for, the MMA. So I like, for example, John, you might take a look at, I know you went to some of the MMA
Yes.
events. I have as well. You may consider, is that something that you want to be engaged in, the select board MMA? Maybe not. Maybe, one of us could do that, but I'm just suggesting we don't really, we're missing an opportunity to engage and relying completely on what Tony's team is doing. And if we could find a way to help, not change what you're doing, but, amplify what you're trying to do.
You're ad hoc. The opportunities come up and you say, all right, let's drill down on this. Let's drill down on
I
that.
think that's part of the plan.
50-50. Like I'm on the MMA, we meet regularly, North Shore Task Force meets regularly, MAPC meets regularly. I'm on the
Okay,
Environment and Energy Subcommittee for MMA. We meet regularly. We talk about a lot of the energy policy and legislation that's happening, or, the budget and key municipal impact, policy that's being featured. And so some of it is on a regular schedule. Some of it is we get notified that a grant opportunity is available and we evaluate whether it's something we want to go after. some of it is we have projects that we know we're trying to push for, so we're actively seeking out grant opportunities for that. So it's not one track or one process. I do think though, to Kathy's point, there's some value in having some methodology to the approach. You know, for instance, the issue, the post issue that us small communities like ours, Western Mass communities like ours have felt an insane impact on the elimination of part-time reserve police academy.
Right.
You know, there's no way that policy change is gonna get momentum at the legislature this time around, because the session's about to end, right? So having some method, some mindset of, okay, what do you think the top priorities of the legislature is going to be next session?
Yes.
And what should we, you know, when should we be, if we want to draft a bill, you know, working with other municipalities, what's the timeline for that? When should we be pushing it? Who should we be talking to? So there definitely is some value to kind of thinking long-term about how you push certain types of ideas or policy changes and things like that, and matching that up with.
Otherwise, at the State House, they're making it up.
I like the idea of drafting bills with other communities because that puts it in their hands. Like you can have a million conversations and it's all it is a conversation. But when you got something to hand them and say, this is what we're doing.
I think you start amongst
Grassroots.
we start amongst us as to what are the issues that we're facing. Then you start working with the other municipalities, find out if they're facing the same issues. Then you start brainstorm what solutions, legislative solutions could be available for that. And game plan, the timing of introducing that and how you're gonna advocate for it.
You mentioned posts. I think as the facilities planning committee starts looking, you know, we've just gotten started looking at different things. I think we might identify some themes, right? Because the process that we have to go through to, you know, build a municipal building, it's crazy. And now we're gonna take a look at a $91 million elementary school for under 300 students. Hello, there's gotta be something there, right?
Prevailing wage. There's a
There
good
you go.
topic right there.
But that's the federal.
It's not necessarily just that. It could be the pebbles of everybody's good ideas being added on to how you should build a building, and at the end of the day, you don't realize that you've just added, you know, a boulder to your budget.
To that example, there's been momentum at the legislature for the creation of an MSBA, but for municipal buildings, public safety buildings.
That could be a good thing or a bad.
Could be,
That's what I'm
there's
saying.
different legislative proposals. But you know, you could look at that, and if it's something that we're interested in or want to try and
make sure
support.
if we're afraid of what might happen, to your point, you know, work with other communities to draft legislation so it gets done in a way that won't hurt towns, as opposed to just leaving it up to the state.
Yeah, at least you have a template out there of
Right.
what you want to do.
Right.
I mean, I could get behind that. Just haven't, I've just been down the road of conversations and it leads to nothing.
Well, yeah, and it depends who you're conversing with too.
I think a lot of this starts with the fact that you've got to have some common concerns and interests
Yes.
from a lot of different towns, so you can all get behind something. And I'm trying to figure out the vehicle to find that out, other than through the representatives, Tar and Tar, who their business is to find out what's going on in the other communities and what the concerns are or are not. And maybe we find a couple of themes. I think a lot of these towns, we all have the same concerns.
I would think
But,
so.
The big one right now has been Chapter 70 funding. And it seems like the state is making some progress on that through the budget process, but that's been the biggest common issue amongst municipalities that has risen to like actual level of,
Because it's so far behind.
Yeah.
It's so out of control.
oh, you gotta know going into what we're talking about. It may not have a true impact for years.
Right.
Or at all,
Right.
but it's not a bad idea to be organized
Yeah.
on, you know, the issues that we're facing and.
I mean, that's a good example of that. Chapter 70 fight's been going on for, over a decade anyway. And
That
now
might be
it's
an
finally slowly gaining traction because it's so far behind.
Municipal Modernization Act a couple years ago, and most recently too, there was a lot of involvement at the municipal level as far as increasing the thresholds for procurement requirements and things like that.
Procurement change, that's a really good example. It's the structural good ideas that get put in to processes, and they don't change or stay up to date with the times. So 20 years later, you're still living with the decisions people made 20 years ago, and it's killing you now, right? It's like house cleaning, you got to clean your house, you got to clean your policies, you got to clean your regulations, and the state house, the state representatives, and the federal ones too. They're always looking to do something new. The stuff I'm talking about is the unglamorous stuff that really matters,
Well,
if you can.
here's a good example. School choice. School choice was set at $5,000 in 1993.
Yep.
Hasn't moved since.
Exactly. That's a really good example, So, I mean, like I said, I'm not smart enough to know what the right things are that we could get organized around. But I'm just suggesting we figure out, ask Tony, what might they be? Pick one or two things and then we
Well,
think about how.
I see Nina every 2 or 3 weeks, and sometimes Drew shows up. And chat with them, what are the top 3 things? And one of those has got to get something that's we'd be strongly interested in, that they're hearing from their various constituents.
A couple weeks ago, I met with the Inspector General, about some, increasing those thresholds again.
Yep.
The requirement for procurement certification, they're looking at potentially making some changes there. I talked to them a little bit about, our experience with our trash contract. I suggested that be they should look at like a state bid process every couple years where towns, right now, you almost feel handcuffed in a way. You thought that was a good idea too, and so those are the types of things like that. Those conversations are helpful, but getting more voices behind them.
Yeah, like what would be a priority thing that if we, use the power of the residents in this town and the surrounding, what would really move the needle? Because, you're in it day to day, we're not, we can't help with everything, but there may be one or two things that if we all push hard, we could make a difference. That was the purpose of this conversation.
I guess you just gotta identify
As they come along.
out in the area, what is the,
Your number one is gonna be local aid,
Local.
right?
100%.
So, what's the right phrase? The undesignated or,
Undesignated fund balance.
giving municipalities the power to spend it how they want.
Yeah.
Well, I forget what the phrase is that they use.
But that,
Okay.
if you look at a lot of the reports put out by like Mass Fiscal Alliance recently, because Prop 2.5 has been such a big topic, a lot of the case studies that they've worked on is showing the reduction in local aid over the years and how that's putting that's why Prop 2.5 is under such pressure now. So that's, I would say, across all 351 communities, everyone is saying the same thing. We need more local aid from the state, but
I would say there's local aid, but also there has to be in any large organization, there is bureaucracy. Okay, whether it's the thresholds that haven't been raised for 20 years, or it's extra steps that were put in place years ago that are no longer needed because of technology advances. There's bureaucracy. Sometimes not adding something, but sometimes taking something away and letting you be more efficient and faster in how you execute can also be worth more than $1 in local aid,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
So those are the pieces that I would, someone outside of town hall may not be able to articulate and
Okay.
where I think we need some help, so.
All right, I want to keep moving on here.
Thank you.
Yes, so, I know that I will, what their hot buttons seem to be, but Tony, I defer to your comment on local aid. I think it's always money. Next one, procedure for Zoom failures affecting hybrid public meetings. And did you bring this
Yes, I
up? This is really dealing with,
For example, the finance committee on its agenda says the hybrid is available as a convenience. If it fails, then we go ahead, tough luck.
Right.
As far as I know, the select board doesn't have that policy, and we certainly make every effort to bring the hybrid up even if it means delaying the meeting somewhat.
yeah. Should we make some sort of a policy and add this to our policy collection?
Yes, but I'd like to hear what and I will draft the policy. My concern is that we need to let people know so that if somebody has urgent business, they will be here in
Sure.
person.
Well,
And then there's the trouble of it's the laws that don't meet in person.
thank you.
And it's-
Right here, here's my notes right here. No, but I think that one of the things, when this first came up discussions is it's on the, usually, I think the finance committee and ZBA, same chair. It should say under the disclaimer on the agenda
Mhm.
that it's a courtesy, I think, but I have the wording somewhere, basically states that because the chair and there's a quorum in present, they can continue to deliberate.
Mhm.
And then you, like you say, if it's really, really important, they will show up in person. But on those rare occasions when all of a sudden we get Zoom bombed or something like that, and we have to shut it down, the meeting will continue. But that's what should be just right on the agenda itself.
Yeah.
But the problem is that boards that are running a quorum with people on Zoom.
Yeah, open meeting law, if you are running a hybrid meeting, it has to be posted as a hybrid meeting on the agenda. And if you have a quorum in person and for some reason the remote ability is disrupted, you can continue the meeting in person. It's recommended, I believe it's not required, but it's highly recommended that the language that the finance committee puts on their agenda, be on ours too.
Right.
So I don't think we really need a policy
We
other
don't need a
than,
policy,
we should just start
on the
putting that
agenda.
on.
Disclaimer on all, basically,
So
Yes, sir.
this should be an across the board for all
Yeah,
committees.
well,
right.
committees.
So it should be a quorum, the chair and the quorum should be present in the room.
You have to have a quorum present in order to continue.
Right,
In
'cause
order-
And the chair.
If you don't have a quorum, and even if someone calls in, we don't have the quorum in person, then the meeting
So-
doesn't go on.
I think I'm hearing two different things. You're talking about hybrid meetings.
Mhm.
Are you suggesting, okay, you're just talking
Yeah.
hybrid. You're not suggesting that meetings should not be hybrid.
No,
Okay,
I
I
think,
wanted to
I am a big fan of hybrid because there are a lot more people can be
There are.
engaged. All right, and there are times, and I've sat through a bunch of ZBA meetings, there are times when that a presenter, an applicant will come in via,
Uh-huh.
by Zoom. And then there are times that they're here. I mean, we bounce back and forth between in-person hearing and then someone calling in, okay? But the common thread has to be, as you point out, there has to be a quorum. The chair has to be present and it has to be posted as such.
Let me double check on the chair piece.
Okay,
I
Prior.
think there just
prior
has to be a
COVID.
quorum in the room.
Yeah, prior to COVID, the chair had to be present. once COVID hit and they've now we're under these
Mhm.
extended 3 times alternative open meeting law. It may not require that the chair be
I know
present,
that
the
we've
chair
done
can
this
call in.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
when Anna's doing her August sail around the world, or trying to get to Maine, and then John sits in,
Yeah.
was John would sit in his.
yeah, yeah.
You
And,
know,
So
well, and
there was
you would
precedent.
attend, but you wouldn't be the chair.
Procedural might not have been required. We did it as a
So we make that.
courtesy or whatever.
I think that,
No, I think that
Or was it required?
it would have been,
The chair had to be in the room.
The chair had to be in
it
person.
would be our
And our-
policy.
if we know that the chair is gonna be
On Zoom.
remote,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going skiing.
Well, and that will
You
happen.
know, you've
I
got
can
the,
tell you
yeah,
that will
so,
for an extended period of
So,
time, you can.
and that happened at least 2 occasions, I know, with you calling in from
but you
Right.
ran the
around the
meeting,
world.
and you ran the meeting.
That's correct.
Yes.
Understood.
Right.
That all makes sense to me.
And I'd like
Right,
to make that policy.
pre-COVID, open meeting law wouldn't allow the chair to call in. So in that case, many boards, what would they do is they would appoint someone else to be chair,
Mhm.
knowing
Right.
that was gonna happen.
Mhm.
When the extended open meeting law changed because of COVID, they eliminated that part. So I think under the current rules, it's okay for a chairperson to call in. So even if,
And serve as chair?
Mhm.
yes,
Yes.
so I'll double check that, but if our Zoom
And were to fail,
were to fail and the chairperson was on the Zoom,
Yeah,
if we could figure out a way to phone you in to the meeting, we could still run it in person. But let me double check that because
And again, I'd like to revisit making this, a policy for all adjudicatory boards.
mhm.
I think it's important that we have, you know, there's a simple word, I used to know the word, but consistency across the board as far as, how all our boards operate. And,
But this is 2 different conflicts.
Two different.
no, we're here,
Yeah,
we're talking about it though, we're here.
This is germane to it.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So,
well, to that point, if the other thing I want to look into is if you're not a hybrid meeting and it's purely posted as a Zoom virtual meeting
Mhm.
and you have a disruption, there's something in the law that gives you X amount of time to get it restarted. I don't know if it's 15 minutes or half an hour. I gotta look at that. But you're more limited as to whether that meeting can
So,
continue
so to make it more
when it's
viable
Zoom.
and open, you know, and more readily available to the general public, then again, I revisit my hybrid. Especially now that, with the untimely Jeffrey, and I know that Olga Hayes wants to step down. We're gonna have at least 2 openings on the Concom. And then as we start to interview candidates, you know, let them be aware of what the requirements are.
Mhm.
Okay, we always talk about, do you have the time to do these things? But again,
did you
that's
have
just,
time to do it in person?
yeah,
Well, I mean, that's why we need to balance the board
Okay.
membership with how teams want to run their own meetings, you know? I think and we should deliberate that at a different time because we didn't put that on the agenda, but I do think we need to have the final deliberation and
All right.
settle that issue.
So Tony, you need to check on a couple of things with regard to what,
Regardless, I can start, we can make sure that all agendas in the future are posted with that language. That if there's any disruption for our meetings,
yes,
just the select board is what I mean,
yeah.
that will continue.
They
in
will
person.
continue.
Mhm.
What
Right.
about the other boards and committees? So can we just make that a blanket policy?
Mhm.
Or
That's
do you wanna let them
discussion-
decide?
That's a discussion, you know, I think that's something that you have the authority to do, that those boards that are appointed by the select board, you can create that policy that's either requiring it to be hybrid, or if you are hybrid, you know, including that language so that you're able to continue in person if anything happens to the virtual technology.
basically I think we ripped that from the town of Wenham, actually, I think,
There's more to it too, is as far as recording.
Mhm. Did you mention it was being recorded?
Yes, I did this time.
Yeah.
She did.
You know, some boards don't record. Some boards record, but the recording isn't being posted on the website. You know, we should be doing that. We should be. It's a public record. Once it's recorded, it's a public record. So
Yep.
we should be posting it on the website so anybody can find it whenever they need to.
Do a pretty good job, that one.
We do,
For the most part, but there isn't a consistent policy,
Okay, they'll look
you
back.
know, so that's something else that should be looked at too.
All right. Well, I think that needs to go kind of in tandem with this. We really need to get that straightened out there.
Mhm.
You got the adjudicatory boards, and with the exception, I think, of Concom, people in general are in
And
person.
it all works, you know, so.
The other
Just-
committees, to be honest, I don't know.
I think any
Yeah, you-
volunteer committees, you know, whether you're talking downtown improvement is completely virtual.
Okay,
I would not recommend, any type of mandatory hybrid or in-person component. I think we do need to educate them though on what to put on their agendas, that if there is a technical issue, you know, and we don't have a quorum, you know, we can't talk, then the meeting ends. I think they do that anyway if they're completely virtual.
if they are, yeah, they have no choice.
I know the CPC, again, Jack has been very vocal about virtual, and again, in as much as it doesn't impact an applicant.
That's what I mean.
Okay, so I mean, I have no problem with that.
There's even there's some basic training.
Right.
Some committees will put, you know, like a broad, like open item
Yeah.
on their agenda,
Right.
which technically to open meeting law,
Right.
you're not supposed to deliberate on something that isn't properly noticed, you know,
So we
it-
did board training like 3 years ago. We haven't done it since. You may want to talk to Debbie, because she had been coordinating
I've been
communication.
talking about it with Christie.
And Sue Croft actually, I think, got the boards, helped us coordinate getting the board chairs trained.
Mhm.
So between Debbie and Sue, I think, they have the means necessary to do that.
Okay, so for the next meeting, Tony, can you pull together, just for the select board? The policy that will be followed.
Is there an existing policy?
I don't think nothing
No.
written. Nothing written to my
A
knowledge.
policy for what? I'm sorry, because.
Policy for handling a Zoom failure.
So, okay.
And
But isn't that, I thought you said it was in open meeting law, that if it's a hybrid meeting, you can't continue unless there's a quorum. So do we really need a policy, or do we need to be educated on what the
Actually-
policy is?
I mean,
Law,
my concern, and I still have it, is that people who have something to say about some item on the agenda
Right.
will be silenced if the Zoom fails. And
So we just want it on the agenda though, that to notify them that if there's a, do we?
so
need-
if you have something important, you've got to get your,
Get
Right.
down here.
But my question is, must we do that via a policy? Policies add bureaucracy, and so I'm just trying to.
Yeah, that's why I
understand.
asked the question. I don't know if we necessarily need a policy on that,
We
rather.
just have to have it on our
Just-
agenda. right?
Just have a statement on the
Someone should
agenda.
be accountable for making sure it's on the agenda, and
Yeah.
someone should be communicating this, what we are doing to the other boards and committees so they can do the same.
All right.
I
So
don't,
this is
you know,
gonna be
see.
Too.
There's a
Yeah.
header here. Why don't everyone just use the same header?
That's phase
You know,
two.
they change the meeting dates,
Policy to
Yeah.
introduce. a-
change the meeting time, meeting dates, and who.
And have this one line.
And then have this one line that becomes an integral part of anytime it's posted.
You can make that happen, right?
I can make that happen. I think when it starts to extend to the other boards,
That's a different story.
that involves your,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
as
should have-
liaisons, we're all liaisons, we should be communicating this to the.
Well, now we know, so, yeah. I know the Harbor Advisory, they meet in person, but they struggle with the Zoom sometimes, so,
Not a high-tech group.
no. I didn't want to
I,
say.
I think all of the committees do from time to time, you know.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, I
all-
mean, it's always, there's always something going on, but.
Yeah, no, I know when I sit in at the COA, sometimes, well, that's during the day. Debbie, come on up and help. Figure out what's going on. So, all right. All right, so the header next month or next time will be
We'll include this similar language to what the finance committee puts on theirs.
fine.
And then can we add a date to discuss?
The broader things
The
for
broader
committees,
policy, yes.
adjudicatory and other.
Yes.
That was probably gonna be added soon, because I don't know if you remember Gary Gilbert had presented
Mhm.
something to us a few months back, and then I've met with him a few times on it, and we've made some progress. It's due to come before the board soon.
We
Um,
can cover all that.
and that can all be discussed.
Okay, all right. So that's there. Do we need to put that on our
I was thinking,
to-do list or agenda item or?
No, that's okay. If you want to, we can, but
straighten out.
All right, I'll
that'll be within the next 3 meetings, I would say.
Okay, fine. All right,
All right,
we're done with that.
Okay,
Liaison updates.
no, fee structure.
fee structure.
Oh, excuse me, fee structure.
Oh, okay.
And what's your first time out? Okay, out of blocks.
This is the updated.
Yeah, so. We went into this with asking departments to take a look at their fee schedules, if they had any proposed changes. To existing fees or adding new fees or things like that. To get them to us so we could discuss it at this meeting, publish it. For the month with the intent of enacting things for July 1st. An excellent goal, however, with many projects, there's many layers. We don't have one single fee schedule in this town. Each department kind of has their own fee schedule. So this is quickly becoming a larger project of, bring them all into one master schedule.
Figuring out what you got.
Figuring out what you have, what you don't have. There's some things, we have fees that aren't, that are, really nicely well written out. We have some that are not. We have some that are not written at all. So there's kind of a bigger project that we're gonna work on over the summer. But in the short term, we do have some fees that are ready for the public process. The Board of Health, well, I guess the first one on here is the building permit fees.
Mhm.
So currently, we have $6 per thousand as our building permit rate. And then electrical permit fees have just always been half of that at $3. When we looked at, and believe it or not, Manchester by the Sea was the most expensive at one point. We are now, based on 30-something towns that we looked at, we are the lowest. Other than Cheshire at $5. The average rate was $11.07. The high was $15.30.
Is this building or electrical?
Building.
Building.
Now we, with our budget, with the budget process, we approved an additional position in splitting the assistant inspectional services and assistant assessor into 2 different positions. And the proposal would be that the assistant to inspectional services would be funded by this fee increase. We projected that a $2 increase would likely fund the position. About $1 equals $30,000 annually on average. However, then looking at, then you take a look at what our surrounding communities are at, and we're significantly below the average. So the proposal here is to bump it to $10, and coinciding with that, keeping electrical half of the building permit fee at $5.
$10 per thousand is like 1% of the project cost.
I think that, I mean, if in fact, the average is 11, most contractors, most developers are anticipating that kind of a number.
Right.
So it's not culture shock, and it's not gonna derail any kind of project. So, you know, I think $10 is still being very, very conservative and generous.
Mhm.
So this will put us on the average with other towns or?
Still below
Like,
average,
Average.
$11.07 was.
These are surrounding
a lot.
communities or just randomly selected a dozen?
Cheshire is a little weird.
Yeah.
Is it communities of our size?
Beverly, Chelsea, Saugus, Danvers, Canton, Marblehead, North Reading, Swampscott, Nantucket, Linfield, Georgetown, Boxford, Hamilton, Rockport, Chatham,
That's fine.
Orleans, Rowley, Wenham,
That's our.
Essex. Yeah,
All right, that's
it's
good.
a wide range.
Yeah,
Um.
So do we want to make it $12?
I was gonna say, why wouldn't we wanna put it at the average of your analysis? Is there a reason why we wouldn't wanna do that?
Well,
Because it's-
you know, the fee really should be reflective of the market
Fund, yep.
and what you need to fund
Yep.
the services.
Right.
Um,
So you're good with the 10? You can cover that?
I'm good with the 10, and there's no reason why we couldn't revisit it next year to go up again if we felt
Mhm.
the data supported it.
That's fine with me.
Are we gonna hold these numbers for projects that are already in planning? One major problem up on the LCD.
So another reason why I would, you know, put this out there publicly for a July 1st implementation date, so anybody that pulled a permit or paid the fee between now and then would get the current rate. Afterwards, they would get the new rate. As far as the LCD or the CST
Mhm.
project, I've had conversations with them about our desire to increase the fees. I've drafted an agreement, if the select board is amenable to it, to grandfather that project in at the current rate for a year. So if they pull a building permit within the upcoming year, they'd be grandfathered in under the old rate. Because it's such a large project and it's not we weren't doing this to try to like get hundreds of thousands of
Right,
dollars more from them.
Right.
And in a way, if they are in agreement with that, which I don't see why they wouldn't, kind of helps push them along to.
yeah, they had expected to pull for period, I don't know, anyway, things just changed a little bit.
So that would give 1 year, you're saying?
That was my first,
I'm good with
my
that.
I
first
think that's a good.
thought.
Yeah, I wouldn't wanna, I
now-
don't think I'd wanna go beyond.
I don't want to do anything that might dissuade them to saying, screw it, we're not gonna do this.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that, but
Well,
I think we can be neighborly and, yeah, I'm okay
biotech,
with it.
biotech is really, really hurt by this.
Yeah.
What's the revenue for all of these fees right now? Oh. You know what that is offhand about? Something you look
Just
at.
might be able to tell you.
I assume that, you know, our financials probably don't break that out as individually, but just says fees.
No, we do have, in this booklet, it gives us revenues by department. Let's see.
Well, this is all the building department, so that's what I'm asking.
Oh, it might be mixed in
With other fees.
with assessor. Look. Okay, permits, building. 232,000 in 2025. 306,000 in 2024. 217 in 2023.
Okay.
200 or 300,000.
And $4 a thousand now, so.
Yeah, so that's,
A nice chunk of change, we'll take it.
yeah, that generates a couple $100,000.
Mhm.
Is there a requirement that the fee correspond to the cost of the service?
I wouldn't say a requirement, but that's the general, you know, how it should work out. But we have, that's not always the case, and you see that in other towns too. There's also keeping up with the market is the other element. So that's why I'm hesitant to like bump it up significantly to the highest that we're seeing in the market, because we don't really have a justification for a need. However, keeping up with the market is a need, and we do have about a $60,000 increase in cost of in our expenses by creating the position. And we estimated about $1 increase would generate around 30,
So $2 would,
Cover the person.
would cover it.
As long as we're covering.
But we'd still be
You're still below the
significantly
average.
below the average at just two.
I don't quite understand why we need to keep up with the market, but just,
No, we just need to keep up with our own needs. on a
We keep up with
regular
our own needs.
Yeah.
The market is just a bellwether,
Mhm.
causes us to take a look at it. Why are we so low? So we ask the question. You know, other towns may be trying to generate revenue from their fees where we're just.
Yeah, I mean, we're-
Cost of the services.
We're trying to balance our budget like everybody else, and money's fungible, and it comes in, and it doesn't necessarily,
this money shouldn't be very fungible.
it's fungible. It comes in, and some of it covers the building, and some of it might cover the lights here, administrative and all of that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, it all goes into the general fund.
Yeah,
Right.
and so, I mean, you hire somebody, you gotta get them a desk, I mean, there are costs associated with it.
So the cost of the position you said was,
Salary is gonna
like fully
be,
loaded, I'm asking, what the fully loaded cost of the position?
if they take a family health plan, you're probably in the $75,000 range. Maybe 70, closer to 70.
But we're not sure that the existing fee was covering the service, cost of the service already, were we?
Well, it was generating $250
Yeah.
to $300,000.
Right.
That's your building inspector or the building
And that's,
department.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just labor, like you said, it's the cost of running the building
Yeah.
that they work out of, it's all that.
That's it.
It's not just FTE costs.
It's not just that.
So a little bit of everything.
That's-
Okay, and this is suggested to go into effect the 1st of July.
I'm good with that.
What, under electrical permit fees? If, I may not be reading it right, but without a building permit, $50 minimum, no maximum. I mean, how is,
So if it doesn't, if you're coming in for a building project,
Construction.
under new construction or an addition, something like that, it's just gonna be based on the building, the cost of the project, and it's baked into your building permit fee. If you were just doing an electrical job,
yeah,
then they're gonna apply the $50 minimum,
yeah,
and then it can grow based on the size of your electrical project.
maybe this ought to say something about how the growth is controlled.
Yeah,
Because
it
this
doesn't,
looks like, oh, I'm just, I need to put in another electrical outlet. The fee's gonna be $1,000.
it's not-
Well,
Usually,
no, it would
you're
be-
talking more like somebody putting a service in or something like that.
Yeah. If your project, if your electrical project is less than $1,000,
Mhm.
you're gonna get a $50 minimum.
That's fine. It's the maximum that's worrying me. I don't know how it's calculated.
I think if it's over 1,000, it's calculated at $5 per thousand.
Right, all Ann is saying is that the verbiage on this page is unclear. It says nothing about something being triggered by the project cost being $1,000. When it says without building permit, it says nothing about the rate of $5 per thousand. It doesn't say anything on that line, so
It just
It's
says
just
that,
unclear.
said.
Oh, I see what you're
you know
saying.
what I'm saying? It just says
Clarity
50
on
bucks
that?
and
Okay.
then.
Yeah,
Yep. I got you. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Ann. Yep.
And then you don't say no maximum, you just say $5 per thousand.
with a $50 minimum. That's
Right.
it. Right, okay.
Right.
$50 minimum, no one's pulling a permit anyway.
No, they just.
I think there's a deeper dive on the electrical permit fees that we could look at. Usually the electrical work is not 50% of the cost of your building project. But that's kind of how we apply the fee.
MEPs might be.
There, some towns break it out per outlet, per light,
Yeah.
it's very,
We don't need that.
We don't need to be doing
so that's building permits. Then, the next one is Board of Health. Board of Health looked at their fees. They put together some proposals here. The process is that they notify the select board of their proposals, and then the select board essentially gives them the okay, and then they host their own public hearing.
Is there any logic to this? Why
I-
some things didn't go up at all and other things
It
went
kicked,
up a lot?
it can't, I guess they talked about it at their last Board of Health meeting, which I didn't,
And I didn't either.
so I'll have to take a look at that.
Oh, so was there some sort of analysis, just like you did with the building, or what are the towns doing? I mean, this kind of suggests that,
Mhm.
because it's very specifically targeted.
Right, and to your point, the question is it covering the cost of the service?
So I gotta see what they talked about during the meeting.
I think that those meetings are recorded, they're not being posted.
Yes,
If you could lean on them to post it, I will catch up.
yeah, I agree, they should be posted, especially if they're being recorded, they should be posted.
I think we just discussed that, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was the part I was paying attention.
that was an example, that was the example. The next is trash bag, so. As you all know, our trash contract costs are going up. We feel that some of that cost should trickle down to the cost of the bags. The bags haven't changed in 7 years. The fees have not changed in 7 years.
So we'll buy a case now.
However, applying the percentage increase of the contract to the fee is a little bit more, we looked at that, so. Gloucester, we charge $11 for a small bag roll of 5 and $16.50 for a large roll of 5. Gloucester is at 10 and 20, Essex is at $12.50 and $23.75. Bolton's at $16.25 and $25, and Natick is at $12.50 and $22.50. So we are a little bit low in some of those scenarios, and these are Gloucester is currently going through the same process that we are with their contract expiring, so expect these numbers to change for them unless they're going to automated collection and eliminating the bags. So we're seeing that some of the surrounding towns have higher prices. Our sanitation budget increase is $280,000, about a 46% increase. If we were to apply that 46% increase to the bag fees, we'd be going from $11 to $16.06 for the small bags, and we'd be going from $16.50 to $24.09 for the large bags. The proposal we have here is $15 for the small and $20 for the large. If you take the average rolls sold, 2-year average, and apply the proposed fee increase, the total projected revenue is that 125, 100 for the small bags, $300,800 for the large bags. You compare that to our current revenue, and in total, it would bring in $86,000 more based on those averages, which would cover about, we have a $280,000 increase, that would cover 86,000 of it.
I think it's important that, based on what's going on with our neighbors, we start really educating, the people now as to
Yeah.
what's going on. I had an opportunity to speak to, Matt St. Hilaire from, he's the counselor from Dudley Farms.
Yep.
And he was talking about how everyone feels that everything, all the price increases were slid into the cover of darkness.
Mhm.
And I mentioned that that's not gonna be our plan.
It is
So I
not.
think that we start talking now about, because everyone, it's a hot topic. Everyone's gonna know about trash right now. Everyone's talking about trash. I think it's now we address it sooner rather than later. Prepare people for.
So this is based on the fact that we just, at this point, it's just, we're in bags, we're gonna stay in bags until things change. And that's a separate discussion, but that'll be coming.
Right.
So,
So really, this
The
is,
number went up.
really, this is temporary anyway.
yeah,
It's temporary and people also have a lot of control over their trash.
Mhm.
So it's, if they don't want to pay as much, they can reduce their trash
so our service gone up like from 500,000 to 750 or something like that. Is that kind of where the increase, your increase is 280, and that's 46%. So our contract right now is 500, and that's what's expired.
Our sanitation budget is in the $800,000 range.
Well, that's what the-
660, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I said, yeah, I'm just rounding it off, 500 to 750, but that's where we're at. To be further negotiated when we figure out how all of this.
Yeah, we
automatic-
finally got a proposed contract from Republic on
Yes,
Friday. There's some missing information that I still want to see. A very important part of it for me is I want to see their union contract that they negotiated recently. And understand if that sympathy strike language is included in it. Because we said in July and August of last year, if that's included in their next contract, we'd be hesitant to sign up another deal. They haven't sent that to us yet.
So means it's there.
Yeah. We have calls out to Casella. We have calls out to Mello as well.
About capital days. What's the other one?
Capital just bid in Beverly, and they were extremely high.
There's another local company besides Capital.
Mello, I think it is.
Okay.
There's Hills
They were
is
bought out.
backed away from municipal.
Yeah.
They'll still do carts, if you wanted to rent a dumpster or something, but. Yeah, so we have a discussion to have this summer. We're not gonna implement automated uniform carts or automated collection immediately. That will come at a cost to the town. The cost of the services is going up.
my question is, it just went up from 600 to 850 or whatever, and when you go automated, it's going up again.
It won't go up as much. It's still gonna go
I
up.
know, I mean, they're saving on a guy, and
Yeah, but it's a polite way to put this. They get you either way,
I know.
because then they pass on the cost of buying a truck that can do automated collection, or if they have to rent a truck, they pass on that cost. It's
Yeah, the tipping fees keep going up.
yeah. So right now it's like, I want to say 11 or I want to say it's like $11,000 more per month. without automated collection. So that does add up. I gotta figure out what that true number is.
Does that include what we might want to charge residents per barrel? Or do we still have to figure out that fee structure?
We have to figure out that fee structure.
The places I know that have it, it's not just paid for by taxes. You pay for a barrel twice a year, like you do your water and sewer. You know, you get a bill and you pay for a barrel. If you
Yeah,
want two
there's-
The
barrels,
only
you pay
problem
for
is that, the
one.
only problem with that is how do you
police
figure usage?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
Two barrels is
Again, it's
usage.
by barrels. They
Yeah.
give you a barrel. And if you want another barrel, you're gonna pay for that second barrel quarterly or.
And they pick up certified barrels, so they know it's their barrels, and you can put out as many as, you're getting bills for two, whether you're only.
Yeah,
filling one
right,
or
well,
not.
that's my point, if you're getting billed, even if you put
Right.
one out, you're on vacation for
even
a
if-
week or
Even
whatever.
if you've only put out one a month.
Well, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, the minimum is one per pickup.
Then
I,
those of
I
us
don't
who
do one a month.
Well, those of us who don't
Yeah,
put out a lot of trash are subsidizing the people who do.
the
you're still subsidizing even at that level.
way I look at it is all residents are currently purchasing bags, right? If they're putting trash out on the
Yeah.
curb for collection.
If they're putting trash out.
Yeah. Some are putting two bags out every week, some are putting one bag out every week, some are putting one bag out every month. So we kind of looked at what's the likely average of usage and what's that cost? If you were doing one bag every other week, you're spending $120 on bags a year. So if we absorb this increased cost in part with fees and in part with the general fund, if we had a fee that was somewhere around that $125 amount, it would be a shift
Mhm.
rather than an increase.
Mhm.
You know, you're not buying bags anymore, but
Mhm.
you're getting a barrel. So try to kind of look at it, that's kind of the.
How does
thought
that work,
process.
how does that work for people that rent?
So if you're in, well, it depends. If you're rent,
It would be charged to the property owner through the utility bill.
Yeah.
it's like water and sewer.
I thought larger rental places
We have private trash pickup.
had private trash.
Right, but I'm saying like a three-family,
Yeah,
who's
two-family,
who's paying for the barrels?
It would go to the property owner, whoever
Yes,
we sent
they'll
the
have to figure
utility
that
bill
out.
to. You know, it would be part of your water sewer bill. Which I believe we send to the property owner, and then they filter down that cost to their
They'll
renters.
bury it in the rent.
So they bury it, yeah.
For instance, I know that one school, he advised the town that he was not gonna be, that he would be using all town pickup, right? So he was gonna use barrels, but as opposed to supplying a dumpster for his tenants.
Oh,
Right, so we have record of how many units are on those properties, we would charge them per unit, that fee times the amount of units.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just thinking, you get different units, you get different families. One has one, it's.
The bags is the only true way to get to a
usage.
usage.
Right,
Yeah.
right, that's why I'm.
Unfortunately,
My
that's,
concern is that we're forced to get away with it, I understand that, but how do we? I guess
Still a
there
lot
is
more
no
people
real
out
way
there
to make it
around.
fair, but.
No, people what?
See a lot more, as you sit at Dunkin' Donuts every morning, there's somebody that always stops and goes to it's now the MBTA, it's the MBTA's barrel, so I don't care. But there's always cars pulling up there, throwing trash in there.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Well, it's somebody else's barrels. They might not walk all the way down there. They'll be putting it in their neighbor's.
But it's, it's, like I said.
Don't take it over to
MBTA, I
Flex
don't care.
Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
They're gonna buy all these bags.
the way we did it in the hunt was if you had a private trash hauler, you would get an abatement on the fee to a percentage, because you're still the town's still paying for picking up trash at the public parks and at the
Right.
beaches, and that's, contributing to the value of your property, so whatever, we would take like the total sanitation budget, figure out what percentage of that is the cost of curbside collection
Right.
and apply that towards the abatement
Mhm.
if you provide us a copy of your contract with a private hauler.
Can we just, we discussed this a while ago, said Black Earth had been interested in, or potentially collection. But then the problem was that, what are you gonna do with it once they pick it up and bring it to the, but you just said Hiltz, it would just, do cottage. Could we have two separate contracts? Have Hiltz pull the, out of the transfer station? And
To me, it's possible, but
I don't know if it's,
Black
I don't know if
Earth?
it's, I don't know if Black Earth would be. I would, because they're not as big, maybe their cost would be less. Or maybe they'd be willing to pick up with bags as
Yeah,
opposed to
right.
barrels. My point is, rather than using the barrels in the one single thing, I think the town would be very happy to continue to pay for bags if we could find someone who's,
Right.
pardon?
Find somewhere to put them or someone to take
Well, no, I'm
them.
not saying
it's the recycling side that's the issue.
Oh, that was the recycling, so that's.
Dumpsters, you know,
That's, okay, I knew there was something, I just
Yeah.
thought that if we can somehow stay with bags. I think that's.
So that's a good question, though. What will happen with the transfer station if we go to this barrel situation?
so you could still allow for bags, you know, at the transfer station, and then that compactor dumpster gets picked up by Republic or whatever.
Yeah, whoever.
You could use the bags as a way to monitor, you know,
So you would need bags just for the transfer station.
or you could. You don't have to do that, and you can just require and be strict on, you know, Manchester resident sticker in order to use the transfer
You
station.
know,
But then you got people of you know, with a different barrel, so they're not really paying. Like you could have someone put out a barrel, now they take a different barrel to the transfer station.
Right, so maybe that supports the continuing the use of bags there, because
Right,
now you're
yeah.
collecting them through that. They're not paying for curbside collection convenience, but
Right.
they're
So that's
depositing.
All right, so
the
that's-
question. Can you
Can you opt out?
Can you opt out? Right.
that's what I'm wondering, because I'm looking at Ann and I'm looking at myself. Well, I'm not looking at Ann necessarily now, but
And
going
looking
to
at
the
yourself is tricky.
But, you know, maybe I do the math and say, I only have a bag a month. I'll go to the transfer station. Because if you bill me, you're billing me based upon a weekly pickup, and I am nowhere near that, except on July 4th.
Before
my kids'
I used to throw a bag of trash, and bring it to the dumpster at work. I bet you a lot of people do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, or if you don't do a fee and you do absorb it completely within the general fund, then I'm sure there's less likely of that reaction, right? So these are a lot of the different topics we're gonna have to.
yeah,
flush out.
Look at the fee structure, also look at lessons learned for towns that don't charge a barrel.
I'm sure they've got experience.
As the amount of trash that is produced by the town, has that gone up, right? Because people don't care anymore, right? Because that will drive up overall cost,
Mhm.
right? So that would be the thing I would look at.
What's
The
gonna
biggest
happen?
driving force is the size of the
Right.
barrel,
Right, we talked about, you know.
and limiting, basically, they will not collect anything that's not in the barrel.
Right. But we
That's the
talked,
biggest driving force,
we
but
talked about, you know, putting more emphasis on driving people towards composting, right?
Yes.
That's the ultimate.
yeah,
We also have to look at where the barrels go with this, is on-street parking on days of, trash collection. Because those trucks have to be able to
They
get
have to
up,
be right
they have
there.
to get up to the, on Central Street, they're not gonna be able to pick up.
yeah, they'll
They know.
they'll figure that
I
out.
mean, there has to be some kind of survey they're gonna have to do.
The uniform barrels provide a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
In the cleanliness of the town on trash collection days. Which is beneficial, you know, environmentally for wildlife and things of that nature.
Except for the crows who are eating the stuff that they're stealing out of the bags.
That's why I'm saying the barrels,
They gotta
the
eat
benefit,
Yeah, I mean,
That's
so
what I'm
you're
saying,
hurting the
barrel.
crows.
the barrel, yeah, hurt the crow, yeah.
Actually, they're probably seagulls.
Yeah, I see.
All right, well, anyway.
So
let's move on.
what happens? So this is the trash end of it. What happens with the recycling end of it? Is there gonna be a uniform barrel for that too?
Yep.
Okay.
Blue.
Oh, so they're two different barrels, not two barrels, but two
Right.
different
And
barrels.
Salem, I know they're blue and black.
Yeah, and I mean, some towns have two different sized trash barrels.
Yeah.
For people who use less trash, you can get a smaller barrel and as well as the normal size one. So
Yeah.
It all depends on what they.
All right, I think we've.
When we,
This is trash.
it was funny though, when we went through this and talked about the trash fees a couple of years ago when trash costs skyrocketed because China stopped taking
Mhm.
our
Yeah.
contaminated recycling.
Yeah.
And it was surprising, the public meeting of what people cared about. And there was a significant amount of people who showed up that said, I don't care what you charge me, do not limit how much trash I can
Really?
put out.
Yeah.
Then there were people who said, I can't handle the size of that barrel. Or I don't have space to store that barrel.
Right.
Or I shouldn't have to pay so much because I don't use it as much.
Right.
It is
Every possible story
every
Right.
possible,
is out there.
it's basically impossible to meet everybody's
Right.
individual need. I think the way that you can help is if you reduce the cost impact to the resident is the best way you can keep people happy.
So yeah, as long as we've got the free composting contract with Black Earth, that should incentivize people to do more.
All right, enough on Fred. Do we, so these permits, do we need to vote on this or are these just going into effect or what?
If you are good, I'll publish them on the website for the month, and then our first meeting in July, we'll vote to put them in place.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Me too.
I'm good with the building and electrical and demolition and fine. I'm less thrilled with the Board of Health.
Well, for the Board of Health ones, they do their own public hearing process.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, we have control over that.
So
So the Board of Health of it is just informational for us.
That's the way it's gone. I mean, to me, I think that as an appointed board and a town issued fee, I would think that it would need to be approved by the select board. But in the past, the way that it's been done is when it was an elected board, they kind of did it completely on their own. Once it came to become an appointed board, they notified the select board of a proposed change. Select board said, okay, move forward with your process. They'd have a public hearing and then they would enact a change.
So Ann, what is your concern?
one of the fees goes up by a factor of,
Three.
no, 3 would be 18.
Yeah, well,
It's
More
a
than
factor of 4.
I was a history major, all right?
9 o'clock, math is limited, math capabilities are limited.
Yes. And something else is a brand new fee.
So you're looking for some rationale as to
Yeah,
why these changes?
Why?
Why so much?
why not other changes?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I have no problem at all of requiring the Board of Health to come to us for these, as you say, they're an appointed board. And I think that there has to be some accountability. The first step.
I mean, just a simple explanation of what they came up with, that's all.
so.
I'll
Publish,
ask them to give us that.
Yeah.
And then until they provide that to us and we can have a discussion, don't schedule a public hearing on their proposal.
okay,
Sounds good.
On these fees or just everything?
Just the board of
Just the
health.
board.
let's sort it out.
Everything else is good.
Yeah.
All right. thank you.
Okay. Next. Liaison updates. What's going on, Jeff?
I wasn't able to see the last planning board meeting. The HAC hasn't met. I don't know if they're gonna meet this month or not, but we did have a graduation last Thursday at Essex Tech. Graduated almost 500 kids out of there.
Oh.
How many of those are out?
One. Lillian Johnson graduated from the biotechnology program, so
Wow.
congrats to her. And yeah, it was, as always, they know how to run it up there with all those kids, but they get it done. So
Realize classes were
It's
so.
a lot.
Actually, it was quite,
It's
quite.
incredible that they get it all done. But yeah, that's about all I got.
Okay. Brian.
Well, I think we were all at the last Parks and Rec meeting, which was basically just
We were.
the bathhouse, so that's what we saw there. And there was a nice little crowd that showed up.
Mhm. It was good amount of people.
I didn't make the ZBA meeting this month, so that's nothing new to report.
The
And-
finance committee didn't meet. I slept through the Board of Health meeting. I didn't put it on my calendar and I just plain forgot. And the schools are just mostly focused on the Essex School Building project. And there's no school department budgetary information. It's there. So basically, the school building program, you know, we all know what the numbers looking like. And
Yeah.
I mean, they've chosen a single model. It's a sensible program for building it where they take down one part, and all of the kids go into the other part, and then they build the new part and switch back. So we're not having to rent a lot of mobile classrooms, which are expensive and don't get reimbursed.
Okay. Good. Kathy?
Just a couple things, downtown improvement committee met, do a lot of discussion on the new pamphlets that are being handed out now at our boating locations. To give information to people who come to us by boat on what's available in the downtown for restaurants, public bathrooms, all that stuff. So nice pamphlet, Page Journey really spearheaded that effort and it came out really nice. Also some new retail businesses coming into town. We've got, our new restaurant, Nikki's Place. Of course, we approved that at the last meeting. In the Cape Ann Savings Building, there's a chiropractor. There will be a nail salon.
I met that woman yesterday.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then,
Street.
yep. And so looks like something will be happening with Boo Bird. You may have more information on that than I do. They sold the building and
To my knowledge, there's nothing going on there.
nothing going on there right now, but we'll just wait and see. And 4 Beach will be used as office space. What was the 4 Beach office space?
That was Paul
Yeah.
Brown's office anyway.
Yeah.
And there was a member of the Brown family, I believe, that will be using this office space, so
Yeah.
not retail.
Just to jump on that, apparently, there's a lot of rumors back and forth, but I think the coffee shop's still moving into Cafe Nero. It's just. taking
Yeah,
forever.
I'm hearing Cafe Nero is still moving in. That was discussed. They were just waiting for the construction to be done because they didn't want people sitting around having a cup of coffee while construction was being done.
They're all blue board and plastered.
Yeah.
In the units upstairs, is the last I heard. And it just, like he says, it just takes forever.
Yeah.
That's construction though.
Right, and I did touch base with Tony on making sure we have a public bathroom program. I've seen the signs at in Town Hall here. I haven't seen the one at Bravo yet. I presume it's there, but that's our publicly accessible bathrooms for the summer months. Duncan has decided they don't want to do that for us anymore. And so that
Yeah.
is no longer an option.
There was some vandalism.
Oh, right, is that what it was?
Well, it was never intended to be a year-long contract, so I'm not quite sure how that happened, but it was only intended for the summer months.
The bastards changed, I knew the code and they changed the code too. You
So
have to go to the bathroom? $5.
anyway,
But they got, yeah, it was a year contract and they got a year break on the water.
yeah,
For the
that's
entire
why
year.
it wasn't supposed to be for a year. It was supposed
I
to
was
be
kind
just
of
for 3
surprised
months.
when I saw
Yeah,
that. I thought it was like.
I don't know how that happened, but whatever. So that's all water under the bridge and,
Might have just been.
yeah.
The products of the
Things fly down the road.
negotiation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Duncan might have said. Well, we want it for the whole year. We're gonna do this.
and
Yeah.
we should have said, don't need it for the whole year. Thank you, go away.
yeah.
But whatever, that didn't happen. So, at Bike and Ped, there was a big, kids bike event in Masconomo,
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, so that was very well attended and,
Going back to the bathrooms. If you know that the bathrooms are in town hall, and you know that you can get at the bathrooms even if even if it's a Friday, or say after 6. Then the sign is really good, but you have to walk all the way up to the. Maybe we could have a sign on the street that says public bathroom.
It's wayfinding.
One of our fancy signs.
It's wayfinding, we ran out of money.
Yeah, that's.
I noticed an improvement in some of the signs, or more signs than were originally planned, so I know some, the DPW or whomever is putting up more signs than were originally approved. So they're taking the logo, the standard,
Mhm.
and there's other signs out there.
Are those pamphlets printed already?
Yes. But they can be, it's paper, when we have to print more. I'm not sure if they used a design on that, did they?
What's
No, I
that?
was just saying,
Bathroom deal?
having the town hall, like a public bathroom labeled at the town hall on those pamphlets.
Isn't
Yeah.
there a map somewhere?
Yeah, so the, Chamber of Commerce
Mhm.
has their interactive map.
That's what I
And
thought.
I thought the items that were printed out, the pamphlets, they had the QR code. But I can't remember if the bathrooms were specifically mentioned on the pamphlet or just after you access the QR
Oh,
code.
so
They
you
were
could
mentioned there, yeah,
Easily edit
yes, yes.
whatever that links to.
So anyway, that's it for, the facilities hasn't had another meeting yet. So
No. Okay. For me, it's quiet. Library and the Historic District Commission did not meet. COA did not meet. One of their members died and there was a funeral this morning. So they went to that.
Do I serve coffee?
Well, I wasn't there. I couldn't make it. But, in fact, it's the first one. I'm kind of surprised it's the first one. The cadre of 30, 40 people, and this is maybe the first one in the last year or so. And DPW still says they have everything under control. This is 2 meetings in a row, so,
Take them at their word.
okay.
Um,
Consent agenda.
yes, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion or any discussion? Vote,
Yes.
yes,
Brian?
yes.
Yes,
John says yes.
Yes.
Kathy says yes. Good. Tony, you're up.
The Singing Beach Bathhouse meeting was mentioned. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend, but I hear many of you were there and it was a productive meeting. Today was day 1 of the Ocean Street, charrette. And we had a great attendance. I was expecting maybe 10 and we ended up being 30 to 40 people.
When is the public forum on that?
So tomorrow night is today was the walk around. Tomorrow night is the workshop, like pinup exercise where we take a lot of the ideas and commentary that was heard today and prioritize them tomorrow. And then we'll do another meeting in like July when the final report is put together. Didn't really hear many surprises at today's walk around.
No.
It was good. It was
That was good.
a lot of good commentary. It wasn't productive. Senior center obviously is one of the next facility type study projects that we'll be working on. And as I mentioned before, the harbor master office, we've reached out to Weston and Sampson to see what it would take to get them to help us prepare for the SEC and big grants that are later in the summer.
What is the timeline on those grants?
I think August.
August, yeah.
Mentioned cargo demo and the last finance committee meeting, we talked about the capital plan, which I want to bring to the board. Once we make a couple more improvements to it, but Andrea, Chuck, Nate, and I went through a lot of the previous capital plan documents that have been produced and presented going back to 2019. And it's kind of clear that what I think some people thought was the capital plan, was really kind of a summary version of that. So we approached it differently, and I got some pretty good feedback from the finance committee, where it's more of a capital book that starts with a list of all the capital items, then and their 25-year cost, then breaks that down by category, then breaks that down into the out years of when you plan on spending money towards those capital items, then organizes that in chronological order. And then we talked about adding some addendas to that book of a breakout of the fleet schedule, of other feasibility plans, that are up and coming. Got some pretty good commentary. Kathy, you were there, and you were there too.
Yeah.
You got in there I think we had already started, but for the most of it, you were there. And
Yeah.
I was pleased with the response from the finance committee, and so I'd like to bring that to the select board too, and also the facility planning committee. And then we'll be working on this fee project over the upcoming months. And then shortly thereafter, I really want to get into, and we'll talk a little bit about this at our retreat meeting, which we need to schedule, by the way.
On the list.
Summer projects that have kind of been on the list for a few months now. We were waiting till after we got done with town meeting, was the fee schedule, water sewer abatements, cemetery policy, tree policy. You're looking at that. So a couple, those, each of those have many layers to them of work to do. But I was out the last week. We are jumping right back into union contract negotiations. Had some conversations with Maya again about health insurance and the high deductible plan. Hearing back from the employees, what some of their questions are and how that plan would work, and kind of going back and forth between them and Maya and getting those answers. So hopefully we continue to make progress there. I'll stop there.
Great. Thanks for the update. You're up for a week, but didn't miss a beat.
Hopefully you got relaxed.
All right, we do have to schedule this strategic planning session. And maybe this is something we should all send some times that are good for to Debbie. I was looking at the last week of June.
Are you looking at availability of a place?
I haven't looked at that yet.
I thought
But the Charter House is pretty much available.
If it's during the week, the Charter House is pretty much available anytime though.
Well, I'm looking at, like, say, the week of the 22nd,
The week of the
June 22nd,
22nd.
that's the Monday. Maybe if you can send a note
I
to,
presume we're talking evenings, correct?
yeah, or, yeah, afternoon to evening. What's the cutoff for you guys, like 4:30? Can you make 4:30, 5?
4:30.
Five's good,
Yeah,
4:30's close.
Yeah. I'd make five.
I could make it happen.
It's not doing it, you know, I don't wanna miss music in the park on the 23rd, so.
Okay, all right.
What about just, I mean, normally we'd meet on a Monday, so could we just do the Monday? The June
Yeah,
22nd? If you're looking at that week. Wednesday and Thursday, I cannot do Wednesdays and Thursdays before 6 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, Monday, because that's a kind of an open
I mean, it's planning.
date.
board,
I
no problem.
agree. Generally, our Mondays at this time of day are
Hmm.
flexible. Do we want to shoot for that?
So you're saying the 22nd?
22nd?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's open now, so I might as well fill it.
okay. That's good, 5 o'clock. Can you, Tony will make arrangements with, the lady across the hall.
Mhm.
Good.
And then if you can just send me, you know, if there's anything in particular that format or things you want to cover during that meeting, send it to me and I'll organize it.
I mean, we may want to start with what we shared at the last meeting.
yeah, I think we need to look at that summary.
That summary.
See, all right, did we do what we thought we were gonna do? I don't know.
Right, what did we get done that we thought we were gonna do? Always a good place to look to start.
Okay. We can perhaps chat a little bit more about that, at the next preparations for that at our next meeting 2 weeks from now.
Mhm.
Okay, and July 4th, we might as well think about that now. Who's around July 4th? I'll be here.
I buy the
Sometimes you're
candy.
here. Yeah, you'll buy candy.
It's
Sometimes you're here.
my
sometimes-
granddaughter's birthday since I've become a grandmother, so I'm at the mercy of whatever my daughter I go where she tells me to go. That day.
Okay.
But I do buy the candy, so if you need 30 pounds of,
I need 30 pounds.
30 pounds of the candy, I can get
I
that.
just, I was just looking at candy. My daughter, who has 4-year-old twins, was just wondering what the candy was. Not that her twins had opinions about it, but I guess they did last year.
Same stuff, just let.
I would go with the same, because it's a price performer, to be honest,
Price performer and it doesn't.
by a lot.
Can we put the brakes on the golf cart this year?
Yeah,
We're
really,
not running
you got,
out
your
there.
son takes off on us.
Oh, is that right?
Oh
Yeah.
my God, you look up and.
But we're having a discussion. The baton might get shifted to either my daughter or my son-in-law, because the twins are now 4. And so they might be the ones that are involved. Before it was my son.
I don't care who drives it, just don't take off on us.
Leave us, yeah.
Yeah, then we gotta run up and try to get more flags. I don't wanna spill my drink when I'm running after that.
Okay, we'll see how that works.
And the
out.
fireworks are the 3rd.
Yes, that's right.
It's the
I
big.
will not be there for the fireworks. I'm
Look
getting
at
invited.
Let's see.
All right.
I will get flags.
Yeah, maybe I'll get in touch with you. We had a few left over, but that was good.
Yeah.
Because kind of toward the end,
We usually run out sometime.
Well, we were all.
no, we ran out because my son took off with a cart and we couldn't reload because he was at the end of the parade.
Yeah.
He was already at the end point, 400 yards ahead of us
Yeah,
At least.
at the end.
20 yards is being
Yeah,
kind.
so it was
It was like
the problem.
I missed a doozy last year, so.
That was.
I think he ran over Alan Kirk and then.
Here we go. Can you arrange, did you arrange for the golf cart or did?
I could call, but
I'm trying to remember who did that last year.
I've done it. I can call and get,
Essex County.
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
gotta get a golf
Let
cart.
me use the new, didn't the police get a new, little buggy?
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fancy.
Anyway,
Right.
yeah, so on the flags, what did you get last year? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I have it written down someplace.
All right, that's good. I mean, that was a good number. I think I maybe have 100 left over.
Okay,
So that's that, you know, and we were up in like 1,500, 2,000, I think.
I think we're 1,500, but. I
Okay,
will-
so that's-
If it's
that's good.
2,000, I'll get 2,000.
That's good. All right.
I don't know what signs we got.
Smallest they make it. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but-
You
Yeah,
want me to, I have them in my basement. I can tell you what they are.
Probably three.
I have them, I ordered them through Amazon so I can find it.
Okay,
So the size last time was okay?
yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a note. I can text, let you know the stories. You'll take care of the cart. So I think that's good.
Maybe we want to see if the police would loan us a cart.
We buy them all this cool stuff and.
Yeah, we should get to try it out once in a while.
And then the
Okay.
common has that sled, remember that goes into the,
It's the same idea as what the police got. It's like a 2-door side by side with a,
Does a police have something that can be, you know, a whole flag inventory?
have they
Yeah,
taken,
it's got a
they've
little
taken
bed on
delivery?
the back.
And you also got a bubble machine.
I don't think
I'm
that's-
sure we can fit a bubble machine in there.
And then, so let's just, and Parks and Rec are gonna take the other, the old
the 4-wheeler.
four-wheel for.
I think we're gonna
life
put it,
guards?
yeah, basically station it down there at the beach.
Put in the bathhouse, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I can talk to chief.
Okay,
I move to adjourn.
second. We're done?
Aye.
Congratulations, nice job.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Nice,
Okay.
Nice job.
Oh, good, I got,
And then
Nice
just
job.
remember
Thank
the
you.
6th too, July 6th, if the fireworks are on the 3rd, no rain date. The 6th we'll do we'll send you the time, but we'll do kind of like a walkout for Todd.
Yeah,
It's his
yeah.
last day.
oh, and that's also our meeting, day, right?
That's also our meeting. day.
Yes. Okay, good.
Okay.
Awesome.